a million smiles, catching all the love from around the world. Whoa. Hey Shelly, won't you shine your light in the darkest times? You make it bright, Life's dreams, we're all by your side, Love doing what you do, girl. You're one of a kind, Shelly, Shelly, you're our life's dream star. Keep rocking your show, no matter where you are.
Hey, Shelly from the block. Jersey girl with a mouth that won't stop, no. Sassy, and I'm not afraid to show it. Gonna spill the tea, you better be ready for it. I speak my mind, no filter inside. Shelly's in the house, talking trash and truth, no sugar-coated news. Never leaving, yeah, out the way. Jersey girl with something to say. Shelly's in the house, time to break the rules. From Bulls to the city, I'm the queen of cool. You can handle the heat, then take the high. Shelly's in the house, drop the mic.
Hey, Shelly in the house tonight, living it up, feeling so right. Yeah, New Jersey girl, she's got that style. Life dream queen with a million smiles, and she know the love from around the world. Hey Shelly, won't you shine your light? Time to make it right. Life's dream leads way away side. You're one of a kind. Shelly, Shelly, you're a life's dream star. Keep rocking the show no matter where you are. Yeah.
Hello, my friends. Happy Sunday. It is September 29th, 2024 at 4:09 p.m. It's very dreary here and rainy, and I slept. I hate to say it. I indulged. I slept till like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But, it is what it is. Um, I just want to say hello to who's out there. We got Wolfram dropping links, wipes his paws, lopes in, and howls. Aroo, baby. And we have Suzanne, very excited that I'm streaming. I'm glad you're happy I'm streaming. I'm happy too. Cool Gamer, hello. T-Rex, hello to you too. I feel like I just left you. Christine Fortunato, welcome. I remember you. Wolfram said, "Hey, Shelly, you didn't sneak this one past me." I was wondering, but then I saw my Discord get a notification. And I was like, no, Wolfram's on the ball today. He was ready. He was like, I got a feeling. I wasn't going to stream because I don't normally stream by myself, on the weekends or whatever. Wolf Kinder, hello, my friend. Wait, before I get sidetracked. Damn it, I forgot what I was gonna say. Anyway, T-Rex said he slept until 2:30. Yeah, but the green man kept you up until nearly 5 a.m. Well, I went to bed at 3, so Suzanne said, "Biatch, I was just gonna go for a nap when you popped across my screen." That's hilarious. Squirrel. I know, I haven't squirreled in so long. There are very few squirrels where I live. Did you know that? It's very interesting. We only saw 3 in the entire time we're here. Whereas before, like in Hoboken, they'd come up to my window on the tree and be like, "Hey, you got anything in there?" But no, I normally don't stream by myself on weekends because, as you know, I'll be streaming at 8 o'clock with Winning Reality, doing old school party, watch party Sundays. We watch documentary and then a funny movie or whatever, a throwback usually. And so I don't normally do this. Lady Awesome. Aw, look. All my lovies are here. Oh, I feel so like warm inside. I really do. I'm trying not to cry, so be nice. But I woke up and I had an article that Heidi had sent me. If y'all All of you know Heidi from chat. And she had sent me this article on what, basically what God says about your identity, 17 scriptures. And I said, let me read this. So I sat down and I read a couple paragraphs and it really like resonated. It hit me. Like, when you read something and it just lands solid in your chest, in your mind. That's what this did for me. And I just wanted to I stopped reading it and I said I want to read it with my chat. And I put it to the side and I was like, "You know what? Why don't I just go live? It's going to be probably like an hour, hour and a half." Although, the way we talk, it could be 4 hours and I go right into Watch Party Sunday. But I wanted to share it with you guys. Has anybody heard from Daisy Girl lately? I have not. I have not. But I haven't been online a lot. And honestly, I've been stuck in my own head, but thank you for bringing that up. Because if anybody does hear from Daisy, I know she was in Winnings, I thought last week, but said she was having internet issues. So she's in the Carolinas. So let's say a prayer for Daisy and hope that she's okay. Because we love our Daisy girl. She is a constant surprise to me, and I love it. She's very refreshing. Wolfkinder, you sound better today, Shelly. Yeah, well, I got like 10 hours of sleep. So that helped. And nobody's, poking the bear. So that also helps. Um, yeah, if anybody hears from Daisy, make sure you tell her that, we're thinking about her, we're worried, and we want to hear from her. She knows how to drop a note to me in Twitter or in Discord. Suzanne T3, I got great news. What's your great news, Suzanne? Hit me with it because I love great news. Winning has his version of good news, and I have you. Lady Awesome, sleep is underrated. Normally when I'm doing 3 to 4 hours a night, that's the excuse I go with. But man, when you get those 10 hours, oof, you wake up like, oh my God, what year is it? What season? Like, am I really here? Like, everything feels different. And I woke up to a quiet house, which is not normal. And a note from my mother that said we went for a drive. I was like, okay, bye. Like, I called her and said, when are you coming back? Because I don't want to be interrupted. Like, and she was just like, oh, like, it's like, whatever. Because she'll just come in, guess what, Michelle? It's just like, oh, God. I'll be waiting, Suzanne. Tell me what your great news is. But yeah, so like I was saying, I have a lot of people that they send me stuff that I find very inspirational. Oh, wait. Suzanne, health markedly improved, 100% pain free, and money in the bank to spare. Oh, Suzanne, that's pretty much everything I wanted for you this year. Is just for you to be better, to feel better and pain free, honey, because I know what it takes to push through that pain. And for you to have, yes, plumbing and electrical and heating all completed. I'm so glad you're going to be nice and safe and comfortable this winter. That makes me really happy. I'm so happy for you, Suzanne. I was a long struggle for you, but you did it. And hats off to you, girl, because I don't know that I could struggle like on that level. I guess I'd have to, because you know me. If I got it, I'll do it. But really, like, kudos to you. I'm so glad that you're in a better place, that, mentally, physically, and that you're taken care of. And you got that great grandson of yours. He's amazing. Not great grandson, but that he's a great grandson. Y'all know what I meant. Anyway. But yeah, you guys, like, Lady Awesome sends me stuff that I find really, like, it's more on a personal level, the stuff that she sends me. So, like, a lot of it I keep close to the vest. But Heidi sent me this article, and I was like, oh my God, I really want to share this with my peeps, with the familia. There she is. Speak her name, and she appears. I'm gonna make one of those intros for you. Just say her name, and she appears. There you are. Um, Suzanne, and I finally found an outlet to clothe and get footwear for the boys, size 18. 18? Jesus Christ. I he would demolish my house. I can't imagine having feet that big. I wear a 7.5, ladies. Like 5.5, 6 in men's shoes. So, oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. Um, yeah, just in time for yep. Yep. All right. So, oh no, just woke from a nap a few minutes ago. Yep, I summoned you. See, I have that power. Oh, there we go. I'm kidding, by the way. Anyway, so there's this article that talks about identity, and it gives 17 scriptures where God talks about your identity or tells you who you are, basically. And there's a short story that they wrote before that from the Bible that really, like, it hit me. It really hit me hard. So I am going to do something I never do. I'm going to share on screen an article so we can do a read along. And of course, it didn't open where it was supposed to. There we go. All right. So, Who God Says You Are, 17 Scriptures About Our True Identity by Dr. Michelle. Now, like I was saying, people send me things in different ways, but they're like all over the place. So, if you go to my Discord, uh, like Heidi can do it through Facebook. I'll get the notification eventually. It took like a couple hours for me to get it because Facebook hates me. But on my Discord, I created a channel for just inspirational links. If something you think you want me to read or watch or whatever, videos are a little more iffy. I'd rather use articles because YouTube is kinder. Drop them there and I'll look through them and I will read like or watch every single one of them, but not all of them are going to make it to a stream. I only do it in a stream if it's something that I feel I can expound upon or something that's like truly something that relates to all of us and not just me specifically. So if you can, drop stuff there, feel free. The same thing with the Discord music. Like I've become so much more uh not I guess educated on different types of music by the links you guys throw in there. And I really enjoy some of them I'm like, "Oh no." But some I'm like, "Oh, this is dope." So, I can't believe I just said that, but whatever. Uh I blame it on the fact I've only been awake about an hour and a half, 2 hours. So, bear with me. Wolfkinder said Amish and Mennonite stores are a good place to look for larger, wide shoes. I never thought of that. I wonder if Canada have an Amish community or Amish communities? I would think they would. Lady Awesome. Oh, I love a demonstrative. You're so cute. We get excited over the weirdest things. I get excited over pot holders that like fit really well and don't let the pot burn through to my hand. It's weird the things that excite us. Well, as you grow up. All right, so we have um Who God Says You Are, 17 Scriptures About Our True Identity by Dr. Michelle at I don't know why I didn't give her last name. Her Burn Bernston. Burn Bernston, I think. I don't know how to pronounce it because the T and the S are in a weird place, but it's Burn T Sun something. Burn T Sun. Let's call her that. So it's not about her last name because that's not her identity. It's just about what she has to say. So here we go. And forgive my reading if I slip up. Have you ever wondered who God says you are or asked, what does God say about me? Growing up, how did you feel about the name your parents chose for you at birth? Or perhaps the nickname given to you on the elementary school playground? Wait, let me just check and make sure. Yeah, I am sharing it. Pardon me, pardon me. Uh, Maybe those weren't an issue, but over time you began identifying with your painful struggles and adopted those names. The mother with the prodigal child, the man who struggles with pornography, the woman who has an abortion, the Bible study teacher who got a divorce, the student who failed out of school, the teen who got arrested, etc. Despite those truths, that is not who or whose you are. Now, note that's a very different thing. Who you are and whose you are. Like, who do you belong to? Where did you come from? Who are you a part of? What do you carry within you? And yes, I will be commenting frequently because I can't not. It's if it comes into my head, it comes out of my mouth. The enemy of our soul always reminds us of all that we are not. We're not good enough, not smart enough, not holy enough, not perfect enough, not righteous enough. And the list goes on. And we all know that. You have people in your life that no matter how much positivity you put forward and how good you've been or how much you've achieved, they only see the flaws and the negative, or they will take your positive and spin it so that you actually feel bad that you did these wonderful things. And you're just like, damn, like I didn't realize I was being like, and it's they're putting their perspective and their intentions on you. That projection can absolutely mess with who you know yourself to be. It's like, if you think about it, you're a lake. When you know who you are, it's usually a very placid, calm lake. You got to picture the surface of the lake is crystal clear. You can see a reflection of everything. Everything above is reflected below, and it's perfect. You understand it. You can make sense of it. You know it's a reflection. You see the beauty in it. You see the value in it. And then somebody comes along and sees that you're enjoying this and they throw a pebble in it. And pebble after pebble after pebble makes so many ripples. You can no longer see what was just in front of you, what you were sure about, what you knew to be true. They'll throw pebbles in your lake to distort the picture and make you unsure of your reality. There are so many people like that now. And it's really, really hard to stop those people from doing that, especially when you care about them, because you tend to have more flexible boundaries with those people. You tend to be more forgiving. You tend to write it off or dismiss it as, oh, that's just how they are, you know, but that doesn't make it right. And it doesn't stop the effect on you. It's not a reflection of you. That's them throwing their pebbles in what you know about yourself and shattering that image for you. Distortion is, even the slightest bit of distortion can have a very negative effect. All right, so we succumb. Wait, the list goes on. When we succumb to his shame and blame, it becomes easy for us to focus on those things as well as adopt them as our identity. You become what people tell you you are. And that, I don't think that's a weakness. I think that's human nature because you want to be with people. You want to fit in. You want to have somebody who gets you. So you want that person to be drawn to you and to appreciate you and to love you. So you can sometimes change yourself to fit what they want. You can also doubt what you know about yourself because you're like, I love this person. You assume they love you back. And so their opinion matters more than most to you. And it can hurt you. It can raise you up or it can lower you down. Unfortunately, most people don't take the time to raise you up. I happen to have a wonderful crew here. I have my winning, always people who are uplifting. And I appreciate that more than you know. Um, while we tend to look at ourselves through the lens of our failures and our painful, broken, mixed up pasts, remember he sees all that he knows we are. And God says you are his much loved creation. And I've done streams on this before where God loves you no matter what. He's like, I know what's going on in your life. I know what you've done. I know what you've thought. I know what you've thought even when you haven't acted it out. I know what's in your heart and your mind because I made you. You are from me. God knows himself. So, of course, he knows all of us. And even if you don't believe in one, true God, if you believe in the universe, you know that you came from something else. You didn't just appear out of thin air. You were created from something. You carry the, how do I say this? You carry the vestiges and the remnants of other things greater than you. Creation is a beautiful, beautiful thing. All of us are born with beauty within us. But that beauty over time gets corrupted by the forces out there that want to, have conflict with the universe, have conflict with God, who want to grab for power, who want to have power over humanity. And because when they can do that, they feel they're fulfilling something within themselves. They're filling a void that they have. If you look at the way we look at the devil, we look at him as evil. Sometimes I think he's just somebody who has this void inside of him because he was cast away from God. Yes, he had too much hubris when he was with God, and he was, he was held above like all the other angels and everything, the most beautiful, which is exactly where egomaniacs go every time they go. They go, "Oh, I'm so great, I'm so great," and people hype them up. We all know a lot of people like that. I have a friend, a streamer like that, that the hubris got too much and the fall is dramatic and just painful to watch, let alone live through. But it's just painful. And I would assume like that's what the devil went through. He was so close to God and he was getting all this hype that, oh, you're the most beautiful, you're the most musical, you have the most amazing voice, you're so smart, you're so this. And even God loved him so much that he was like, oh, well, let me see how far I could push this. And so he did that. His hubris made him think that he could replace God. Like, you're never going to be able to become the one that came before you. Could you be better than them? Like, on a human level, yes. On a God level, no. But he thought he could. And when God cast him away, through his own actions, he removed his light from him, and that left that giant void. And we all know what those voids feel like. We all know what it's like to have, you're going along in life and all of a sudden something happens and then nothing is ever the same again. And nothing can replace that irreplaceable part of you. I mean, not to be redundant, but that's how I believe Satan goes through life. I believe that because he has that void, that he tries to fill it. Like, some people try to fill the void with, drugs, some with good deeds, some with food, some with alcohol, some with, like promiscuity, some with um absolute like holier than thou self-righteousness. It depends on what they think will get them to that place where they feel complete again. Satan will never feel complete because he's lacking God's light. He's lacking God's love because he did the ultimate betrayal and he deserved to be punished. Do I believe one day God will reach down and tell Lucifer, okay, and just cleanse him and bring him back? I do, because I don't believe God ever wants to lose any of his children, including his angels. I believe that God is ultimately the most 100% unconditional, forgiving parent in the world, like ever to ever have existed, to ever to exist. And I do believe that eventually someday he will tell Satan, okay, you had your fun. You didn't learn your lesson. I'm going to start over. Let's cleanse you. Like, and I really do think he's going to etch a sketch him. Just be like, shake, shake, shake. Okay, look, you're a nice little angel again. Let's try this again. Sometimes I think, is this our first time around? Like, how many times did God go, you know what, let me just change this and start over? I wonder. I do wonder. I wonder if that's where the deja vu comes from. But anyway, I squirreled. You knew I was gonna. Um, let me see. Bertson. Thank you, Heidi. See, I can say like the most complicated words, but a name, no, it doesn't work. Suzanne said we have Amish and Hutterite. Here, that's where I buy groceries and blankets and pillows. Oh, I love Amish furniture. Love it. Heidi, he allowed jealousy to fill and destroy himself to go against God. Yes. And everywhere that he let that jealousy and that darkness, it pushed the light out. So God just said, okay, you don't want it, you don't get it. Because I think no matter how much darkness we allow into our lives, God always leaves that spark of light within us so that we can come back to him, so that we can overcome the darkness because he never abandoned us. I mean, that was a promise he gave that he would never abandon us. And I really don't think he abandoned Satan, Lucifer. I don't think he did. I think he basically put him in a timeout and said, you know what? You need to go there for a while. Because think about it, like 10,000 years, 20,000 years, 100 million years, they're nothing to God. They're the blink of an eye. To us, with mortal time frames, it seems like an exorbitant amount of time. It's unfathomable. But to God, it's literally a blink. I mean, he could wipe out this world and recreate a duplicate just with a thought. That's the power of God. That's the power of the universe. It can do the impossible because it sets the rules. God sets the rules. He created everything. There's nothing I believe he can't do. Do I believe that he could heal everybody just with a thought? Absolutely. Absolutely. I've never had a problem believing in miracles, ever. Just like I believe every single life is a miracle. Because I have 2 babies, yes, they put me through so much, but the simple fact that I was able to conceive them and grow them within me when I kill plants, like, but I made these 2 humans, and they're extraordinary. Do they fit everybody's, like, mold of perfection? No, but they're mine, and I love them, and I see so many extraordinary things in them, and they're my gift. God gave them to me, and I valued them, and I treasured them, and I took care of them their whole lives, and I will always do that. That's a miracle to me. The fact that I was able to make 2 people, which kinda aggravates me a little bit too because I'm like, I made you. Can't I get in your head and make you do the right thing?" Like, it's so it's so frustrating to make things Ellie, fine! To make things that look like you, they walk like you, they talk like you, and yet their decision making is like you're like, "What were you think? I didn't teach you this. I didn't raise you like that." Like, it's so frustrating because 'cause I'm like, "I made you." Literally, your heart beats because that's because of me. Like, I helped that happen. You have skin because of me. That brain and that mouth you're using to talk back to me, I made those. I grew them from little itty bitty microscopic cells, and yet I can't make you shut up. Like, it's so frustrating. Um, Ellie, hey, behind a little, listening on 2 times speed. Oh, yeah. I sound like a giggly scar. Oh my goodness. No, that laugh must have sounded horrible at 2 times speed. Great. Heidi said, regardless if a person believes it or not, we all were created with a small void within ourselves uh, to draw us into a relationship with God. I'm guessing. I was like, New Year's Eve. You put NYE and I immediately said New Year's Eve. Like, I needed that. Thank you. But yeah, no, I do think that we all have that small void because we're separated from God when we're created. We have that light within us, but we don't have his presence right there the way we did. All right, T Rex and I had a conversation. He said, do you think that when you get to heaven, like people, if you have babies that are waiting for you in heaven, do they stay babies forever? Do they ever grow up? And I explained to him the way I view heaven. When I say I can't wait to get up there and be with my grandmother and my dad and my dogs and my kids. I don't near. There you go. Thank you, Heidi. Near. um, I see. Yeah, I didn't know that that's what that meant. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, so then when we get there, I don't think that there's physical forms. I think that we are our energy forms. We are our souls, our spirits. And I believe we recognize one another because your spirit is so much more and so much bigger than your physical form. I don't believe that hair color or height or weight or age or race or anything matters in God's presence in heaven, because you go back to your original state, which is the light of God. You are the light of God, just personified. He put you in human form. He took a drop of his, energy and made you. And when you go back, that's how you go back. And I believe that's where the harmony and the peace come from, because it is truly home. You're returning to your true forever home. And I believe the joy that comes with that. If you've ever seen like a dog that or a cat that didn't have a home, that was mistreated, and they find their forever home, you see the joy on their faces. I hate to equate us with that, but I believe that's kind of what it's like to go home to heaven. Not to force your way in, because if preempt it, like I've talked about, you might have to spend some time, in the timeout chair and go through some trials and earn your way back in. But I do believe everybody gets accepted by God when they've reached that point where they finally realize what their life was about, what the afterlife was about, and the true meaning of who they are and what they are and where they came from. So I believe energy reverts back to energy, and that the harmony that we'll find in heaven and the joy we'll find in heaven is because of the smoothness of it all, because of the fit. That's the place where we will finally fit in no matter what. Because you go back to the heart of everything. That's the goal. Like, get through life, be the best person you could be. So eventually you can go home and everybody there will just be happy to see you. Got his pub. What's up? What's up? Yep, she does it. I love it. Great. Everybody likes when I sound like a squirrel. That's great. Whatever makes you guys happy. I swear. Um, Heidi, you just described how I imagine God feels for all humanity. I mean, I really do believe that God is the most wondrous thing, ever. And I say thing because I don't like to say person, because then everybody goes male, female, whatever. Like, God is just this everything. God is everything. He's everything, everyone, everywhere. There's nothing that slips by him. When they say, "Oh, God's not watching." God's watching. He's just letting you screw up. He's letting you do this. Why? Because he promised you he would. You can't find real salvation in your way back to God until you experience the other. You have it's like saying, when you're in nothing but good relationships, you don't really recognize how good they are if you don't have something bad to compare it to. Like, you don't know what good pizza is until you've had bad pizza. I can't stuff like that. Not to like really oversimplify it, but that's how that goes. Ellie's 8 minutes behind. Don't worry, I squirreled, so you're good. I view God as a seasoned grandpa. He's old and wise and full of love. Yeah, I mean, I do too. When I was little, I always thought that, Santa and God were the same thing, because they both shared so many attributes of knowing freaking everything about you. And so my grandmother told me that God and Santa watched me through the ceiling fan light in the living room. Every light fixture in the house, God was watching me from there, and so was Santa. So I just assumed that it was the same person. Like, God created Santa. It's just one of the names he uses. They had a million names for him. And it's just like his, his holiday, fun self. That's what I thought when I was really, really young. And then I got a little older and I thought they were two people, but they were both still watching me through the thing. Do you know whenever I'm like really angry, I still look at the light fixture in the room that's on the ceiling and I'm like, I'll talk to it and be like, now I know you understand why I said that. But like I try to reason with the light fixture. So I might be a little crazy. I don't know. Hey, Indy, what's up? Wolfram, he will not override your will. That's very true. And we're going to do a stream about Adam and Eve because I have a couple theories on that, on why that went down the way it did, because it had to. It had to. But we'll get into that. Maybe we'll do that this week. But yeah, no, I do believe that God gives you all the rope you need. And he's like, all right, keep going, keep going. Like it's like the parent who sits there and goes, you're making so many mistakes. And I can't undo it. And I can't make you make the right mistake. So I'm just gonna have to wait until you come around. Wait till you realize, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. Like that was a big mistake, or oh, I was wrong. And you just hope eventually they come to that. I think God looks at us like that, like my kids. Like these kids are driving me crazy. But eventually they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out and then they can come home and there's always a place for them when they're ready to be here. And I think heaven is also conditional for us. I think our entry into heaven does depend on whether we feel ready. Because no matter what you do, even if you defend your actions your entire life, there's a part of you that knows you did wrong, that knows you misstepped. You might not be able to admit it. You might not have that ability. You might not be given the time because some people, their lives get ended, before they have the opportunity to come to that type of realization. But I do believe that you go to heaven when you realize, oh, I've been doing this wrong. This is where I screwed up. And then you feel remorse. If you feel remorse for the things that you've done and you say, you know what, I was wrong. I think accountability has a huge part to play in moving on beyond this mortal coil. I think when you realize what you've done and you're able to say, okay, I did this. No excuses. That was me. It was mean or it was stupid or it was, desperate. Whatever made you do that, the reason, not the excuse. You cop to it and you say, I am so sorry. Not just for what I did to my own life, but how it affected other people. What it did, the ripple effect that it had. And I think when God sees that you've gotten to that place, he's like, oh, look at you. You're all grown. Come on home. You're good. Come on, come back. And I think he's very gentle about it. I think in the beginning, like when God didn't have that many children, that's when you had the wrathful God. It's like a new parent that's like overwhelmed and, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with you? And the aggravation, the patience isn't there. But even the Bible shows how God, like his patience evolved. I do believe that God learns every day. I think that he creates different things and he's always, creating and learning and going along. He's always evolving and getting better and bigger. And, you know, it's not that he doesn't have the knowledge there. It's just that he didn't get to it yet. Like it's like that's on my list for later. And I know you're not supposed to like, humanize God or whatever. Some people say that. I don't really believe that. I think you should humanize God in your mind so that you can try to understand better the difference and the similarities between us and where he wants you to be, how he wants you to act. If you understand like all that God can do and all that he knows and some of his motivations and intentions, you can live your life in a different way. because then you're not blaming God for things. You start to put the blame where it belongs, on yourself. And you could turn around and make yourself better, because if you're just going to rely on God to make you better, that's not his job. That was never the intention. God made you perfect. You screwed you up. Yeah. Original sin, yes, that helped. But outside forces outside of God that are on this realm help to screw you up. They help to make you imperfect on this planet. But the way God sees you, he will always see you as that shining child of his, luminous in its perfection, unconditional in that love, unending in forgiveness. But you have to be remorseful to be forgiven. Anyway, so let me just check chat, because I'm gonna squirrel a million freaking times, and you know it. Um, do gutter. I'm so happy you're here, Indy. If you guys, let's see, I don't know why I even bother trying to say it. Wolfram already threw out your links. Thank you, Wolfie. Do. Wolfkinder, I like to use the word creator. I'll say God if that's the word that people I'm talking with you. Yeah, see, like my Catholicism runs so deep. It's hard for me to use a different name. I do try. Like in my mind, I have all these different images of God. I have the old man God, I have the Jesus God, I have the just burst of light that's like a supernova. I have energy images, I have galaxy images, I have all these different, and they all come together, and they really do all just mean creator. It's just where I come from. Everything that I am came from him, even the earthly things, because he created those too. So yeah, I get it. But I don't know, I switch between them because I try to make sure everybody can relate. Heidi, we have a free will. He is not a dictator. He wants us to come into a relationship, not because he dictates it. Yes, he wants it to be a choice. We have to choose to be what he originally intended for us to be. Ellie, but yay, only 4 minutes behind it. Well, now you're ahead of me. So, meh. Uh, I know that's time bending, like in a mental way, but I'm sure you're like caught up before I get caught up. Um, Absolutely, Heidi. Yep. I'm multitasking when listening. You're always multitasking. Amp 33. Hello, welcome. Good day, T3. Love and strength to all. Well, welcome to you. Welcome to you. I hope you find a nice little home here. Everybody's very friendly, very sweet, very down to earth, and also very, very supportive. I don't know what I'd do without my chat. Elephant. Y'all, I got buttery fingers. Girl. I didn't know where you were going with that. I was like, this is a clean stream. I should clean up the kitchen. I cleaned up the kitchen earlier. I made ham and eggs. I made a ham steak and sunny side up eggs. I made Gouda pear grilled cheeses. Well, you're fancy. I'm like, oh, I made ham and eggs. You made Gouda pear grilled cheeses. That sounds delicious, by the way. Oh, I wish you lived closer. Sorry, squirrel moment. I have them all the time. Lady, hi to all the people that recently entered the chat. Yes, we're very welcoming here. Ellie, I'm caught up now. See, I told you you'd catch up before me. I told you. Do I know you or do I know you? Oh, Andrea, hey, what's up? All right. Nice. Everybody's changing their names. Welcome back, babe. Memento Mori. I hope you're feeling better. If you guys can, just throw out some prayers for Memento. He's right now battling some pneumonia and not feeling very well. And we love our Memento. So if we can just send some healing thoughts and prayers out to him, I would very much appreciate it. Heidi said, sent you a link to Open Bible Info site that helps with various topics through scriptures. Thank you very much. I can't wait to look at it. Like I said, you inspired this one with this article. So, all right. So let me get back to this. Okay. Because I'll make this go forever. What does God say about me? Understanding our true identity. There are several examples in the Bible of others who lived seeing themselves one way, only for God to bestow upon them a new name. A specific example has given me great encouragement when I thought my past was too bad for God to redeem. And remember, I did a stream a while ago about God loving us all no matter what, and it was a really good stream. It was very breakthrough for me. And that stream led to me facing my final, like, biggest childhood traumas with you guys. And I know some of you will remember that because it was a painful and very graphic, transparent stream. I didn't hold anything back. And it was, I mean, I know most of you were devastated and crying, but you guys were there for me, and I can never repay you for that, for what you all did for me, because I don't think I'd be here. I really don't. Without you guys and without winning, I never would have made it. So I thank you from literally the bottom of my soul, like with everything I have. Memento, doing a little better today. Oh, I'm so glad. Oh, that makes me happy because I know pneumonia sucks. I had it so many times in college. It was horrible. Uh, Heidi, I only share what and when I feel led to. Exactly. Most of the stuff I keep close to the chest, believe it or not. So, winning rally. Say his name and he appears. There's my winning. Say his name. There he is. Right now he's licking his wounds because poor Eagles. I did check. I did check. I'm so sorry, honey. Anyway, back to the article. So, Luke chapter 8, verse 43 through 48, and Mark chapter 5, verse 25 through 34 recounts the story of the woman known only as the woman with the issue of blood. I'm guessing she was a hemophiliac. Scripture tells us that this woman suffered with a physically painful affliction of bleeding for 12 years, which meant that she likely also experienced emotional, relational, financial, and spiritual pain, grief, and loss, having to live ostracized away from her community because her bleeding left her considered unclean by cultural norms at the time. Okay, so maybe she had like uterine cancer or something like that where she perpetually cycled. Um and probably well beyond the years that she should cycle because back then they didn't really live that long. Life was hard. And if you think about it, like a lot of those societies then, if a woman was bleeding, you couldn't talk to her, you couldn't touch her, she stayed home because she was, she was unclean. She was like, I don't want to say demonic, but they made it seem like it was almost a punishment by God. A lot of societies like, oh, God didn't give you a baby, so he punished you by making you bleed for like 7 days or whatever. Um so yeah, they had a habit of pushing you away. So women grew up, that's why I have a hard time with the, "Oh, I'm a man, but I'm really a woman." No. Unless you grew up knowing that your natural bodily functions, like, are considered shameful and gross by most of the world, like, these are things that we hide. We don't that they're not a part of the things that we take pride in, whereas they should be, because that shows that you're fertile and you're still able to be in the game and you're still able to make the babies, and maybe God will grace you with the baby. But it's not a punishment. But yeah, we grew up with a certain kind of stigmatization about it. And unless you grew up with that vulnerability and that kind of that secretiveness, that personal secretiveness, because you're supposed to shh, don't tell anybody, keep it to yourself, don't let anybody know. Because apparently you were gonna, be stoned to death if you had your period outside. And you were outside, not had your period outside, but if you had your period and went outside, you know what I meant. Anyway, if you did that, like, unless you grew up with those feelings, don't tell me you're a woman. You don't know my struggles. You have no idea. You don't know what it's like. So then I would see that they used to tell the women, oh no, she can't go out. It's her time. You can't see her. It's her time. It was a very icky thing to people. Um, two. Hi everybody. I T-Rex said I feel like winning was lurking until you said his name. I mean, no, it's the football game ended. He appeared winning her poor husband. I highly doubt she had a husband. I highly doubt. Uh, Andrea said, "Take care, T3. Chickens need to be fed." I know, I know. Love and strength to all. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that. My chickens are all big, but my ducks are huge. I gotta take pictures of them. I gotta get them to take pictures because they're in the basement where I can't go because there's no railing on the stone steps that go to the basement. Yeah, so I'm not trying to fall down a flight of stairs. Puffer, what's up, my girl? How you doing? How you doing? Uh, Getting the rag in front of people, you ain't a woman. Exactly. Like these people don't know what it's like to stand up in the middle of class, walk out and be like everybody's snickering. You're like, what? They're like, guess what? I'm like, crap. And of course, my uniforms were bright pink. Pastel pink, bright pastel pink. Yeah, that was always fun when somebody stood up and you're like, girl, what? Girl, you better run to the bathroom. I hope you got a spare skirt or a sweater. Yeah, they don't know what that is. Winning reality. I had no idea she was streaming. Yeah, well, I don't tell him everything. I like to have a little mystery. God. T-Rex, I'm allowed to identify as a dinosaur because I started doing it before almost the woke weirdos went mainstream. I'm allowed. Okay, you're just double putting things. Okay. You could be a dinosaur if you want. Rawr. That's fine. They don't know the sweatshirt trick. Yep. They don't know that you have to. I hope I'm wearing a sweater that day that has long sleeves so it can go around my waist. They thought it was us being trendy. Nope. That was pure function. That's all that was. Anyway, back to the issue with the blood. All right. So, I can only imagine the names she called herself and how that colored her identity. That she was unclean, unworthy, unholy, imperfect, blemished, ostracized, and worse. Yet somehow, despite her pain and suffering, she mustered the strength to go into town and seek out Jesus, knowing in her heart that she could just touch the hem of his garment and she would be healed. She risked her name and her reputation by even going into town amongst those who ridiculed and ostracized her. Now, when she reached out to Jesus's hem, she was inconspicuous. She didn't crawl up his cloak and put her hands on each side of his face and demand her healing. She could get no lower than she was because she was on the ground, reaching for the part of his garment furthest from touching his body. Now, I know you all can visualize this. We read in scripture that she touched the hem of his garment and she was immediately healed. And Jesus knew that because he asked, "Who touched me?" Now, when you think about that question, like this says several times in scripture, Jesus or God or Jesus asked a question, not because they didn't know the answer to the question, but because they needed others to consider the answer. And when I read that and it said Jesus knew basically that she touched him, that she touched the garment because he said, "Who touched me?" In my mind, that question went two ways. One, speaking to the crowd saying, "Okay, who among you touched me so I can recognize, what just happened?" But the other side of that question is, who touched me? When you think about existentially, who touched him? It's God himself. He has the power of God within everything he is. So who touched him? God touched him. God created the man that he was on earth. You know, in a much more direct way, I guess, than he did for us, because he did it, you know, to a virgin birth and like a virgin mother and whatever. Like, it was done by design. And I kept thinking about that. I was like, who touched him? Well, God touched him, and then the woman touched him, and through him directly touched God and was healed. That's how my mind went. I don't know if yours went that way. I don't know if you agree or not, but these are the things that occur to me when I'm reading stuff like this. Do, 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 do. Uh, we read in the biblical account that she realized she had no choice but to come forward and admit that she had not only touched him, but that when she did, she was immediately healed. I'll go back to that. So did the woman with the issue of blood wonder, what does God say about me? So my favorite part of this story, I'm reading again. My favorite part of this story was a short 9-word proclamation from Jesus to this brave woman. Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. That was all he said to her. So Jesus not only healed this woman physically, which is what she was seeking, but in those 9 words, he healed her emotionally, relationally, spiritually, allowing her to return to her community. But most importantly, Jesus changed her identity when he called her daughter. This woman who had been known not only to her community, but also to us thousands of years later by her painful past, is the only person recorded in scripture to be called daughter by Jesus. That's a term of belonging, of worth, of acceptance, of dignity, of love. All the things that she lacked, being known only as the woman with the issue of blood. He called her daughter, affirming her true identity. And that hit me, because no matter what people label you as, no matter what they ascribe to you, no matter what they believe your attributes or traits to be, no matter how they describe your personality, your looks, your demeanor, uh, your intelligence, your sense of your nothing, there's not one aspect of you that they can put an adjective to that is absolute 100 true. But the one thing you always are underneath is you are a child of God, of creation, of the universe. And when that is speaking directly to you and calls you daughter, that's claiming you, not just for you, but for the world. That's saying you're mine. Remember that you are mine, no matter what anybody else thinks of you. At your core, you are mine. You come from me. You are part of me. You are part of perfection. You are part of greatness. You are part of omniscience. You know, you are part of omnipotence. You are part of the entire universe, good or bad. You are a part of it. That is who you are. Everything outside of that is circumspect. You know, it's changeable. The one thing that never changes is that you are mine. And that hit me, because we take on all these different identities and labels and, you know, the alphabet letter stuff and whatever, like all these disorders, and I'm this and I'm that, and you know, you can say I'm ugly, I'm cute, I'm tall, I'm short, I'm fat, I'm skinny, I'm muscular, I'm weak, I'm beta, I'm alpha. It doesn't matter. What you are is your God's. You belong to God, not God's as like regular as like apostrophe s. You belong to God. You came from him. You will go back to him. Everything else in between is you having the freedom to play on the playground for as long as God feels that you're allowed. That's all the earth is, really. It's a playground. We're just down here just messing around because you can't change what God has set forth. Nothing we do here is going to change who God created, because when we go back to him in our perfect form, in our cleansed spiritual form. Everything else gets left behind. That's why the bodies rot. That's why, I don't believe there's a physical form when we move on. I don't believe we take on physical attributes. The spirit recognizes the spirit because that's who we truly are. And we all are tiny little drops of his spirit scattered throughout, existence, on this plane or another. Um, I'm gonna do chat real quick. I lost my place. Puffer, to wish menstruation on yourself. Dumbest wish of all. Yeah, no, I know. I know. YouTube acting like a squirrel. Why? What happened to YouTube? Did it mess up? Don't tell me it messed up. Because I can't see like the actual StreamYards except for chat. He said, I got this from Salvation Army. Back off and donate. Nice. Uh, Heidi said she had faith enough to believe that if she even touched the hem, she would be healed. Yes, just to be, I've read scriptures where people, just to be in his proximity, they could feel the difference. And, I know, like, I've experienced that many times. Like, sometimes I will hear a hymn, or I'll hear just any type of like a gospel song or whatever. Some of them are just like, yeah, they're catchy, whatever. It's got a good beat. I like the message. But some of them literally reach inside me and like they grab a hold. And you feel like you're in a presence so much greater than everything going on around you. There's certain moments where I feel this unbelievable peace. And then there's sometimes where I feel abject agony because I feel the void so much more at that moment. And those are the times where the devil can suck you in. The darkness can overcome you and you fight it. I battle with darkness like my entire life. Literally since the moment of birth, I have battled with darkness. But I am very, very stubborn. And as much as I could be taken right to the edge of that cliff, I am way too hard-headed. And I think my survival instincts kick in at some point and go, all right, you just sleep. Like I sink down, but then I'm like, no, like I gotta just give it up. I gotta just let this happen and ride it out and just see where we come out, because I know God's got me. I know whether he's gonna, have me here or have me home. Either way, he's there. There were times in my life where I felt like he had just turned his back on me. But that was just because I was too young to understand that the world works separate from what God wants. There are too many forces out there working against him. And those are the things that bring you pain. God will never bring you pain. Not by his choice. He does his best to be there so that you can get through the pain other forces inflict on you. He gives you that light when you need it the most. And it really helps to ask for it. Because sometimes God's like, well, you got this? All right. Like, I don't see you turning toward me, because he wants us to be independent and learn on our own and come back to him of our own free will, to choose him. And who doesn't? Who doesn't want the person that they love to choose them? Warts and all, it doesn't matter. To see who they truly are inside. God sees who we are inside. He loves who we are inside. And he knows that everything that we do outside of his, path, his plan, that's other forces at work. And I think he's just a very patient parent now, just waiting for us to smarten up. He's like, I'm here. I'm here if you fall. But, the journey, that's got to be you. You got to move your feet. You got to take the steps. And that journey, it's a hard journey. It's a hard journey. Wolfram, in addition, he already knew who it was. Yeah, he absolutely did. He called her out to reaffirm her in front of everyone else. Yeah, and that was the thing. Like in that scripture, he I felt like he was like, okay, who touched me? So that it would bring attention to her, so that all those things that they thought about her suddenly just fell away. He rewrote her entire, being. Her present, from moment to moment was radically different. And he wanted them to be like, and he also wanted to call out, like, you all pushed her away, but I found her worthy. She found healing through me, through her faith. Almost to tell them, you passed judgment on her for what? Look, she's the same person she was when she was bleeding, but now she's not bleeding. Now she's okay. Almost bringing to the forefront the hypocrisy of it. Like, oh, well, now we can be nice. Like, nothing radically changed about her at her core. But yet Jesus said, well, okay, who did it? And he brought attention to the fact that you're all hypocrites and you're all judgy without ever having to say it. I mean, like it or not, Jesus, he was really good at diplomacy. He was really good at getting the point across without being condescending or angry or whatever. Like, he said things and you just be like, oh yeah. And then like later you're like, oh wow, he really meant, oh, that was on me. And like, that's why they call them revelations too, because these things get revealed to you over time. I don't think we ever read a Bible story and then just leave it there. It stays with us throughout time, and you tend to expound on it the more experience you have in life and you realize things. That's why I try to tell my son, you think you know everything right now. You know nothing. You have no life experience. When you get to be my age, or you get to be your grandmother's age, even when you get to be like 30, you're going to think differently because your opinions are based on where you are in life. Your perspective will change. It will evolve, and you have to be a better person and admit that you were wrong before and you think you're right, more correct now, because you're never going to know everything you think you know. Never. Like, it doesn't matter how educated or how, like, like evolved or, I don't know, enlightened you are. You're always going to keep learning. You always are going to have to be a little lenient in what you think you know, because what you think you know can be changed in the blink of an eye, because somewhere there was a false premise that you thought was true and it threw everything off. And when you realize that, everything kind of slips back into place and you're on a better path. You're in a better mentality. And I keep trying to explain that to him, but he's 17. He doesn't really get it. He thinks that he knows everything and his opinions are like, oh, that's it. Like, I'm the best. And it's like, okay, whatever. Like, that's not hubris. That's just immaturity and youth, and it's fine. Eventually he'll wake up, but I'll get him there. Hopefully I'll be with him through the journey, because I enjoy watching him go, oh, like I enjoy him realizing, oh, all those things I said and did, like, maybe I wasn't so smart. Maybe I wasn't as smart as I thought I was, but I know better now. I like watching him get better. That brings me joy. The journey there brings me a lot of pain, but when he does get there, it's worth it. It really is worth it. Elephant said, being distracted, forgetting who we are, getting confused as to who we are is very much Satan. Yes. He's the one who likes to throw pebbles in our very placid, beautiful lake. in our crystal clear lake of our view of the world and our view of ourselves. Um, Puffer smiles. Identity, not a thing. It's your own. We all screwy, made in God's image. I'm having fun picturing God. Sorry, God. I think God would enjoy that. I think he just enjoys that you think of him. I mean, think about it. Like, so many people just forget God entirely. I don't know how. How do you forget that you came from somewhere else, something bigger? You know, and they're like, "Oh, well, science still can't explain the beginning." They make guesses, but explain? No. They're like, "This is where it started." Okay, where'd that start? Well, it came from the but where'd that come from? Because we could play this game all day. Keep going back and going back and going back and go back. Eventually, you run out of answers. God has those answers. He knows. But I think he just enjoys that we think about him. Mercy Me, the yellow colored album. My jam. Nice. Footprints in the Sand. Footprints is my absolute favorite poem ever. It's always been. And, I feel bad for Anonymous because really that person would have been one of the most famous writers ever if we just knew who said it. Because, I mean, it's really very uplifting. I like that poem too. I love that poem. I used to have a little placard. Unfortunately, when I got kicked out of my mother's house when I was 16, my brothers and sisters destroyed it because they were little and they didn't care about anything. But I had a little plaque that I had hung up right by my bed with it had waves. It was a painting of waves with the beachfront with the footprints, and it had the poem written on it, and it was on a wooden like a how they make them out of the tree slices? So it had like all the rinds and everything, like the rings. Uh, that's what it was, and I love that thing. I had that since I was very little, and they destroyed it. Eventually, I'll get another one, but for now, Footprints is always in my head. Wait, I get to be 30 again? Heck yeah. If you want. Ellie Fun said your 40s when you're at the point where you don't give a crap what anyone thinks. I thought I was at that point where I didn't give a shit what anybody thought of me. But it turns out there's a couple people who can still destroy me with their opinions of me. Mainly just one. Well, two. My mother and my son. That's it. One that I love unconditionally and the other one who never knew what it was to give unconditional love. So that's where that's at. Elifant said, I don't know, Shelly. I have atheist family members and it makes me sad, but I just love them and show them by example. I mean, you have to. You have to, but like the same way God works, you have to let them go down their own path and throw them little, like hints every now and then. Try to like course correct or whatever without being overbearing. You want it to be their choice, but you also want to be a guiding light for them. You don't want them to feel alone. Like if they want to join you on that path, they should feel welcome to do so. That's the sad part for me. When people want to be better, but they can't find anybody that will accept them. Kind of like this lady. I mean, she just wanted to be like everybody else. Wanted to be just normal. And they refused to even give her the opportunity. And then once Jesus healed her, everybody's like, "Oh, welcome back." I actually admire the fact that she didn't become bitter about that. That they couldn't accept her before, that she was just, happy to be accepted by God. That it no longer mattered that they accepted her or not, but that part of her was healed as well. I really that part I really enjoy. Heidi says even Darwin denounced his theory on his deathbed regretfully. I mean, I think everybody they get to a point, especially the older you get. Like I joke when everybody's like, "Oh, your uncle, he's becoming like a whole different person." I'm like, "Yeah, because he feels death." I was like, "He fears God's around that corner, going, I'm right here. I'm still watching." better straighten up. Time's going. Tick tock, tick tock. Like I feel I joke about it, but I think it's true. The closer you get to where you have to like settle the bill, the more nervous you get. And the more you're like, "Oh, well, what am I nervous about? I lived my whole life thinking I was right. I got nothing to be nervous about." And then you start thinking, "Oh, I was kind of shitty to this person," or "Oh, I was really mean," or "Oh, I was selfish," or "I was this," and you start to realize, "Oh my God, I thought I was living such a good life, and God, I was a dick." Like, and you get to that point where you're like, "I got to fix this. I can't face my father being that evil dark person that I was. I have to change. I have to repent. I have to show God that I'm sorry that I did that and promise like with all my being I will not be that person again." And I have to do that by living by example. I have to put my intentions and words, my fears, my sorrows, my regrets into actions that will reverse what I was or what I did and bring me closer to God and be more what He intended for me to be. And I think that's where as you get older, that helps to enlighten all the mistakes that you've made. Like it highlights those mistakes so that you can reset your course. You can course correct. You can fix it. And even if you can't go back and undo anything, you can apologize, like heartfeltly apologize. You can, you know, take steps to be a better person, to do the opposite of what you did before. And not just to save your soul because you want to. You want to be that person. That's the difference, I think. It's wanting to be that person. Because a lot of people they revel in being jerks. They enjoy it. Oh, life's about having fun. No, it's not. I mean, if that's what your life is about, then that's what your life is about. That's not what my life is about. To each his own. But at the end of the day, or at the end of your life, where are you going to be? Where am I going to be? And where's God going to say He wants us to be and where we got to get to? Like, that's what's on my mind. Uh, Heidi said, Elephant, that's part of what we are called to do is to show our relationship with and who God really is through our walk. Absolutely. Shelley, look up the poem about the sand dollar. I absolutely will. Could somebody drop that link in my Discord? I'm not gonna do it during the stream, but I need stuff for during the week too, Ellie. So we'll see. I'll look into that. Maybe make that part of the next stream. Puffer, it shouldn't take nervousness to make amends with God. Isn't that terrible? Sorry, feelings, ignore me. No, you know good and well that this is the place to go to just let all the feelings out because we're not gonna, poo-poo on your feelings. But yeah, a lot of people, I mean, you think about it, consequences make you usually, you know, examine the things that you've done with the more circumspect eye. Like you're a little bit more critical of yourself when you have consequences that you didn't intend to face that you now have to face. And it's that nervousness that it kind of puts the pressure on you to be like, all right, you didn't examine yourself your entire life. You just did what you wanted. Now it's time to sit down and really reflect. And let's see. Let's see who you think you were in your life. And if you think that God is going to be like, you're sus, like it might make you change. It might make you want to be the person that God's going to be like, okay, come on, come on. Because you don't want a wrathful God. That was the wrathful God with the impatient God. I think God has infinite patience with us now. He's just like, they can't possibly do anything that would surprise me. So we're just going to ride all this out. It's fine. We don't need any floods. We don't need any plagues. We'll just wait. And then at the very end, we'll just bring everybody home. But yeah, I do think that way. I think God is just sitting up there going, like right now, we're just all preschoolers. He's just watching us going, "Oh, look at them." Like, "Oh, look at them." Like, and I really do believe God just shakes his head like, "Oh, these like, what are you all doing? You're so crazy." And I think it not amuses him, but part of it is just like he's like, like, you're all crazy. What is wrong with you? Like, this is not how I made you, and I know you're gonna go back to how you were, but in the meantime, oh, good lord. It's like watching a kid bake by themselves for the first time. Just the mess they make, and you know you're gonna have to clean it up, and you're just like, oh. And it's aggravating, but it's also really like, oh, you just because you love them so much, you think that it's just like part of their growth process. And I do believe God looks at us like that. Like, we're all just toddlers and preschoolers. Yeah, and he's just like, "Oh, bless." Like, and sometimes I do believe that God is like an old Southern woman, "Oh, bless their hearts." Like, just because he just can't believe, like, the stupidity that runs rampant. He's like, "I know I didn't make them like this." Like, he must look at Satan and be like, "You're really working overtime." Like, because he could stop Satan like that. No problem. He could wipe all that out. But the point is, we won't learn if he does that. If he fixes everything, just like for your kids, if you fix everything, they don't learn anything. They're not resilient. They'll never be able to stand up to the bigger things in life that are going to try to crush them. God's the same way. He's like, no, look, you got all these little temptations. You're giving it to these. What happens when the big temptation comes along? What stuff do you think you're made of? And I think he just waits. Ellie said, I know, but I wish I could show them more without being pushy. I don't push anyone. I know. Like I said, I look at my children, I'm like, I made you. Why can't I get inside your head and just make you say and do what I want you to do? Like, it sounds kind of like controlling, but I mean, I think all parents are like, they get to that point where they're like, oh, why can't you just do what you're supposed to do? Like, why do you have to like go outside? Why do you lie? Why? A lot of it is, oh my God, why? And I think God does that with us. Like, he's like, I know you're smarter than this. I made you smarter than this. Like, how much longer do I have to wait? But I think it's an affectionate frustration that he feels with us. Um, So I don't push anyone, but I did come to a point where I stopped being afraid of showing others that I'm a person of faith. Same. A lot of people thought that they were like, "Oh, Shelly's talking about God, but Shelly talks about this and that." Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, guess what? I'm a person with complexities. There's more than one aspect of my personality that's going to shine through. I don't always feel like that. You know, sometimes I'm just in spiritual mode where everything is overwhelming, and I do withdraw. I sink into it to strengthen me. I do, because I'll find answers to my questions, not like big world questions, but like the small things. Like, why do I have to go through this? And I feel like I'm being answered by the things that people send me, because I do believe God works through everyone. Like, I'm not here because this was just something I scheduled to do, or I wrote it down and said, "Hey, I'll get clicks or whatever." Because let's face it, I'm not gonna. But this, as soon as I read it, I just started reading it. I said, I need to share this. And I was debating doing a pop-up stream. I was doing the dishes from breakfast, well, lunch. And I was like, but why am I gonna do a stream? I never do a Sunday stream. I never do a pop-up stream. I only do a stream with winning. Da da da. And I was like, you know what? And I'm kind of harsh when I talk to myself. I was like, listen, bitch, you started this to heal yourself and to hopefully help other people who have a hard time seeing that their situation is a lot like yours and they're not at fault, who have a hard time loving themselves, who have a hard time forgiving themselves, who need a little burst of strength. And if you have an ounce of strength left to give, you give it. That was always my intention with this channel, to unearth all my triggers, all my traumas, not just for me, though I do want to heal. I wanted to be better. And I think I have come a very, very long way. But to help other people who have a really hard time being kind to themselves, who put the blame on themselves rather than the people who actually have hurt them, who have a hard time looking at the traumas and saying, you know what? I'm not worse off for having been through it. I'm stronger for having gotten through it because I'm still here and I'm still loving and I'm still affectionate. But I also wanted those people to be loving and affectionate to themselves because it's really, really easy to take care of other people and forget yourself because you put the worth on other people and not on yourself. So the whole point of this was to help heal myself and other people who felt like they were in the same dilemma or same um aloneness, I guess, that not loneliness, but aloneness as I was. Like my own little bubble of pain, like pain and suffering and sorrow. I think a lot of people exist inside their own little bubble and they constantly, no matter what they put out, the negative energy they bring back on themselves rather than put it out into the world. I think it's better to release it, talk about it, heal it, and move on. A lot of people can't because it's very, very painful. That was the whole point of this channel. That's why I decided to do the stream today because I was like, you know what? You've always said, like, and this is me talking to myself because I'm crazy. You always said you did this for you and for other people, but then you stopped talking and you started internalizing and the darkness crept in. And I said, when I moved here, I felt almost like a disconnect from God, like he wasn't able to reach me here. And I think it's because I let my fear of what they would say to me, do to me, put me through, form this wall around me. And I wasn't even letting God in because I was just terrified of being outside the bubble. And Friday, Friday, my days are all screwed up. When I did that stream, pretty much the bubble burst because I was able to let the floodgates open and let everything out and let you guys in. And through that, I got this article and I got like encouragement and I got tons of messages of love and support. And it reminded me, no matter what I'm facing face to face here, I'm not alone. I've done the work. I put that forward. I might not be able to be like all zippity frickin' doodah all day long because of the aggravation that I'm facing. But you know what? I don't have to sink to that level. I don't have to be a miserable like these. Like I can rise above that and be me. I can walk around singing, and if they don't like it, oh freaking well. But I can just be myself and not let them dictate who they want me to be. Because it's not up to them. It's not up to anybody but me. And it's between me and God. And when I did that and when I opened up to you guys and I let everything out, it was like I was like, all right, she's ready. Somebody send her something so I can get this message through to her because I was being stubborn. I tuned out and he couldn't get through the normal way. So he was like, she'll wake up eventually. It's fine. He knew that I would, and I did. And that's why I did today's stream because I was like, you know what? He was trying to tell me something and he found a way without beating me over the head with it. It wasn't some huge revelation. It was very subtle and very gentle and very sweet. And so I had to come here and talk to you guys. Elifan said, like, instead of telling someone, oh, I can't, I have an appointment, I say, I need to take the kids to church youth activities. That's all. Yeah, absolutely. Puffer smiles. No pushing, subtle hands. How's your day? Great, because God gave me breath. Yeah, don't do that. Aw. I used to fear even mentioning that I believe in God, but now I say something. Same. And if they isn't that fucked? You understand, Michelle? I get it. I do. I absolutely get it. Got it, pub. Shelly's my Jiminy Cricket. Oh, honey. I'll be your Jiminy Cricket. That's fine. I love that. You're so cute. I love you, Gutter. LEBU, nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. I love that you guys have such strong beliefs. I have so much more respect for you because you do. I do not respect people who don't take a stand anywhere. I'm not talking about just religion. I mean, like, if you believe in something, believe in it. Don't worry about the pushback. Don't worry about somebody saying, "Yo, you're crazy." Stand your ground. Like, how hard is it? You believe what you believe. Be open to new information because maybe your belief can get better, but always know that, like, this is what I believe. You and your opinions, you're not going to shame me into believing something else just because you don't think it's cool or whatever. Like, just believe what you believe. Yeah, but believe based in truth, based in, intuition and tradition and stuff like that. All these things are factors. You can't just base it on one thing. So many things get put into the meal that is you. There's so many different ingredients to make you as amazing and I God, I hate to go all like weird, but as delicious as you are because people are amazing. Everybody's got a different flavor, a different look, a different whatever. But at the core, you all are the same because you all come from the same thing. We've just lost that string of familiarity. We've lost that commonality among us because now all people see are the differences. They don't see how we all link. I find that very sad. Um, they're so busy slicing up pieces of race and tradition and religion and, you know, political views and monetary status and all these different things that they don't see that we're all just human. We've lost our humanity in so many ways because they're always focused on individuality. No, what's most important is that we're all part of humanity and we should be working together to help each other, to lift each other up, to give strength where it's needed, to understand that weakness is not always a bad thing. It happens. It's not a fatal flaw. It's just a part of life. And we all experience it in one way or another. If we learn to understand that we have so much more in common than we have different, the world would be a much more different, like better place, I believe. Again, that's just my opinion, but I mean, what's the alternative? Um, I also know there are others out there who used to be like me. Oh, absolutely. You think I ever talked about God among my friends? They would have laughed me out the door. And now when I do it, they're just like, wow, okay. I didn't know you were like that deep. You really you thought about this stuff. I always think about this stuff. None of this stuff is ever out of my head. Ever. It's just I can't always grab one of the veins of thought and explain in words. I know you all know what I'm talking about because there are things you think that you can't articulate because there's just no way to describe it in a way that somebody else can understand. It's something to be experienced rather than to be taught, or to be read about or whatever. Like it's something you literally have to experience internally on a personal level in order to understand like anything of it. And even then, sometimes you can't explain it. Puffer said God is looking at us chewing gum off the bottom of the slide, and he's like, it'll be fine. Yeah, he's like, it's all right. Their immune system will be better. Like, Germs are good for the body. It's fine. It's fine. And I mean, I do believe that because I think that everything leads to us becoming more resilient, more resourceful, more inventive, more understanding, more compassionate. Because without all those bumps and bruises, you're going through life like la 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 la, and you can't relate to anybody. You can't forgive anybody because you can't fathom them doing something wrong. Because I would never do that. Like, that's not a way to live, to be separate and like put yourself above everybody else. You got to put yourself on everybody else's level and say, hey, we're all capable of this, good or bad. Gutter Pub. Shelly's my Jiminy Cricket. Always let your conscience be your guide. Yeah. I mean, my instincts and my conscience are two very different things. My conscience is extremely, extremely strong, especially my guilty conscience. I feel guilt before I even commit the act, but it's just there. And that's what keeps me from doing really heinous fucking things to people. I'm sorry to like see the F word slipped out, but I mean, that's like where I'm at, because there's things that my instincts tell me to do, violent things. Like when somebody pisses me off, there's that lizard brain in me going, punch him right in the face, punch him, shut him up. Like, cause that's my defenses. I'm like, I get aggressive. And my conscience is sitting there going, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You can't take it back. You're going to regret it. Don't do it. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Sit on your hands if you have to, girl. Don't do it. And then there's the sense of humor in me that goes, bitch, we don't look good in orange. Like, it's just, all right. Like, do you really want to have to pee among another 40 other women? I don't think so. It's like, so let's not do what you're thinking of doing. Okay, fine. So that's where the difference is. So my instincts are strong, but not stronger than my conscience, which I think is the case with a lot of us. And I think that's what keeps you from going over to Satan's side. Like, the voice of God in my head, which I think that is my conscience, is God's influence in my head. And then there's the instincts and temptations and desires that come from the darker side of existence. And those two things are always there. And again, like with the wolves, which wolf do you feed? There's a white wolf that's pure and a dark wolf that's evil. You have both of them existing within your soul, battling for dominance all the time. Which one will win? The one that you feed. The one that you feed will be stronger and take over. So you need to always feed the lighter side of you. Even just a little, even when you're just at that snapping moment, just take an extra breath, because sometimes it's all you need. It's just one breath, and you just rein it in a little bit more, a little bit more, and that's where we're at. Winning. God is working through me. He told me to go forth and have a Christopher Guest doubleheader tonight, featuring Best in Show and A Mighty Wind on Old School Watch Party Sundays with me and T3. T3, that's me. See you at 8 p.m. Thank you, Winning. So if you weren't aware, in 2 hours and 15 minutes, we will be having a Christopher Guest doubleheader. And here's where he's gonna ha 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 ha. Yeah, I haven't seen either one of those movies, so I have no idea what they are. But I'm guessing I'll enjoy them because I usually do. So if you can join us then, it will not be a religious conversation like now or a spiritual one. I have no idea what's in store for us, but I'm sure we'll have fun, and I'll provide the laugh track as usual. Ellie Fun, every good mom struggle putting yourself first. Yeah, I never learned how to do that. But yet if you talk to your children when they're like in their teenagers, you would think you're the most selfish thing in the world. It's just like, really? You have any idea what I've given up for you? Like, any idea? Any idea? Never mind what you did to my poor body. Never mind what I went through, the pain I went through to have you, but then to raise you, and you were my sole responsibility. They don't understand because they don't know what it is to be responsible for the life of something so tiny. And you're taking this little, you know, perfect being. And you have to raise them to be good people, to be responsible and to be able to take care of themselves and take care of others. You have to worry about their physical sense, their spiritual sense, their financial sense, their religion, their education. Every single aspect of their life is your responsibility. That is the world on Atlas's shoulders. Every parent carries that. And there are some who just are not up to the task. They'll just shrug the world off their shoulder and let somebody else deal with it. Or they'll trick somebody else into carrying that world for them. Or they feel the world there and they just ignore it. They don't care what happens to it. But the majority of us, be it with our children or children we know, or even like older people that we know or our friends, we take their troubles onto ourselves because we want their burden to be lighter. I think we all instinctually carry the burden of others because we think it strengthens us for our own issues. When you can't deal with your own issues, but you could deal with somebody else's, I don't necessarily think that's 100% an escape. I think that's you doing your exercises so that you can eventually face what you have to face in your own life and didn't have the strength to yet. You're building the muscle. I think it's helpful. And by helping other people, you're also able to boost yourself a little and say, you know what? I did this for this person and, like I helped them and I can do that for me. I can do this. It's like giving yourself almost like a little pep talk or like a pregame. Um, Wolfram said, live your life with your fun and I will follow my faith. Yeah, in the end, if I'm wrong, I've only lost out on the fun but lived a good life. But if I'm right, what have you lost? Exactly. That's exactly right, Wolfram. Because all these people who go around, they're like, oh, you only live once. Ha ha, woo, party, whatever. Liberal and like, do this, do whatever makes you happy. Really? Whatever makes you happy? So you're just going to give into the hedonism of life? Because I know people who've given into hedonistic desires and it didn't turn out too well for them. And they were so far in the debauchery, they couldn't see it. Everybody else could see it. Everybody else watched. Some warned them, some prayed for them, some mocked them, and some reveled in their failures and their falling. It all made me sick. It still makes me sick. Because what a waste. What a waste. There are people who would die for that type of opportunity, for that type of blessing. And then there are people who get the blessings and just piss them away. That breaks my heart. It really, really does. It breaks my heart. Because you were all these things and you just let yourself sink into temptation and desire and all the things that you said you were against. All the things you said God showed you were not important became your everything. And because of that, God said, all right, now you got consequences. Go ahead, go make your decisions. You made a choice, there's a consequence for that. And now you're living your consequences. And there's so many people out there like that. And it breaks my heart. I've been there. I've had so many consequences and I've apologized to my kids. I'm like, you know what? I just want you to have an easier life than me. Don't make the same decisions I made. Look at my life. That's why I don't hide my mistakes from my kids. And I've been put down for it so many times. People are like, oh, I can't believe you told your kids what. You know why? Because I want them to know the stupid shit that I've done. I want them to know how I've been fooled by others and fooled myself. I want them to know what lying to yourself looks like so they don't do it. I've already made their lives better than mine because I protected them as children. I kept them as untouched and innocent as I possibly could. I kept that light alive. Are they bullheaded? Absolutely. Does it frustrate the shit out of me? Yes, it does. Do I want them to be any different? No. I do not want them to capitulate to people just to make them happy, just to get along. If you have an opinion and you believe in it, you defend it, but you defend it with facts. Don't give me your fifis. I don't care about your fifis. You give me facts and we will discuss it. We will not argue about it. We will not put each other down about it, but we will have a conversation about it and we're going to talk it out and see where we go. And it might be a conversation that lasts for years. I don't care. Let it be ongoing. I'm good. I got stamina. Let's go. You're in it. I'm in it. I made it this far in your life. I'm going to make it the rest of the way. My kids believe what they believe, but they're not stupid about it. They're not, oh, well, you don't believe what I believe. So it's because you're this or you're that. They're not about the name calling. They're all right. Show me what you're talking about. Like, because that's not the information I'm getting. Okay. And we go back, and sometimes they teach me stuff. I'm not all knowing. I have my opinions, but are they always right? Absolutely not. I've proven that many, many times. But I let them see that I've made mistakes in the past. I'm going to make mistakes in the future. You got to give me the grace to change because I don't always see what I'm doing when I'm doing it because I'm in the soup. It's like I'm not going to use the animal that they use, but it's like all right, let's take a fish and put a fish in a bowl of water and then you turn the water up, like you turn the fire up under the water and you slowly raise the temperature. That fish is just like, oh, this is a nice warm little bed. It doesn't know it's cooking till that last breath when it goes, oh shit, and then dies. And then you eat it. But that's the way I feel like most of my life has been. I'm doing stuff and then I turn around and go, wait a minute. I look back and go, oh, holy shit, how'd I get here? Like, because I didn't even know where I was. I was just busy put one foot in front of the other, not looking where I was going and not looking where I was or where I'd been. The whole point was I only have the strength to keep moving forward. I can't look at where I'm at. And then eventually my strength gets to the point where I go, okay, now I can look and I go, oh crap. And then I have to course correct and I have to fix things. And I think that's where we have to be. I think that's the way to be. But to constantly live your life like, hey, it's party time. You only live once with no regrets. They say they have no regrets. No, you have no regrets yet. You have no regrets yet. They coming. Like I said, the bill always comes due and somebody's got to pay. It's always going to be your turn at some point. Nobody gets off scot-free except scot-free freedom. Holla out to the Canadians. You are never alone. No, you're never alone. Which you think I would have learned that growing up with all the pictures of Jesus over the beds? I mean, there's a reason they put pictures of Jesus over the beds. Yeah, it's weird. Like, especially if you're like on your honeymoon, you look up and Jesus is there with his hands up with the whole, blessing symbolism, and you're just like, can you just not look at me? Just look away. Look away. Believe it or not, there have been many times where I've been doing stuff and I'm like, God, if you could just look away for like 20 minutes, that'd be great. Just because I really don't want you to see me what I'm going to do right now. But yeah, I know it's terrible to say during the stream, but it's true. It's one of those funny religious things that I've done. Like, been like, oh, God, you just, can you just look that way? Like, just look, God, look at the sunset. Yeah, and just leave me for like 20 minutes. But yeah. Skibbity doo. Listen, winning. Okay. My son is already making fun of me because we were talking about the whole brain rot thing. And I said, "I don't understand, like, all the things with Ohio and the skippity doo dah toilet." And he was like, "The what?" And he goes, "I'm telling everybody on the internet that that's what you called it." I was like, "You know what? Bite me." Uh, oh, when we moved there, I had God backing your ass up. Prayers ain't for nothing. You on the list, lady. Aw, thank you. Thank you, Puffer. I appreciate that. I really do. It's very sweet. Ellie said a meme popped up in my head, the one with the person with the stick poking someone and saying, "Come on, do something." Okay. I mean, I think that's a lot of us do that. Lady said, "I'm so glad you did. I'm so happy to see your thumb." Oh, I'm glad I streamed. I needed to. I really did. I needed to. But yeah, Ellie, that I do think that God sits there like every once in a while, or he sends. I honestly have much more of a constant connection, I guess you would say, to Archangel Michael. I mean, he's the fighter. And that's I get a lot of my strength from him. And I do know that he's always nearby. And many times he's just like, "Really? Really? You gonna quit? Weak. Why you being weak? Stop being a jerk." Like, I really feel like he's like poking me with the damn spear. Like, really? Like, I battled Satan. You really think you're gonna win this battle with me? Come on now. Like, I'm gonna win. You might as well just do what I want you to do. And it's like, I'll be right there. I'll be right there in the stands. Like, hey, in the stands. And now Ellie said, "There's no crying in baseball." Don't do I haven't cried yet today. Yay, look at that. But yeah, I do believe that God and like there are angels around me going, "Come on, come on, you know you wanna, you know, you need this. Like, come on, don't be stupid. Go do it. Go do it." And then there's always that little burst of anxiety right before I go live. And I'm like, "Nobody's gonna be here, nobody's gonna understand." And then somebody goes, "Stupid, just do it." Like, even if you're just doing it for you, just do it. You might help one person. Guess what? There's one person who didn't have the help before you did the stream. Like, it's still a difference. It doesn't matter how big the stone is that gets thrown in the lake, if it's a ripple or if it's a tidal wave. Either way, you're making a difference. Only I'm not trying to throw stones into placidity. I'm trying to throw stones into an image that people create based on the negative things that go on in the world and the negative things that happen to them. Sometimes you have to shatter somebody's self-identity because they're looking at themselves without any love in their heart. They're looking at themselves so critically and so harshly that you have to kind of like you go up and smack them in the back of the head and be like, "Hey, like you're worth more than that. Stop talking bad about my friend." I've said that to many people when they like put themselves down. I'm like, "Oh, you no. You don't get to talk about my friend like that. Like, I don't like it, so you're not going to do it. Because here, let me tell you a little bit about you, and that's a good tell you about you." So there is that. Now, chat, when Shelly is caught up, you need to post that. Don't, because I still got to read the article. I can't articulate a kaleidoscope kind of like that. Yes, absolutely. I mean, what's the most you can say? "Oh my God," but it's amazing and it's pretty and it's just, oh my God, it's phenomenal. But you can't really describe everything coming together. You can't really show somebody what you see because they're going to see something different. Nerd, what's up? He didn't fly away. No, he didn't fly away. He made it. I'm hoping everybody made it. And I hope you guys, if you were affected by the storm, check in and make sure we know that you're okay. Wolfkinder, I don't care about the orange jumpsuit. I don't want to be the next grift for LawTube. For real. I mean, these people, they eat their own. God. You don't have to worry about Haitians or anything else. Worry about LawTube. Lord, they devour each other. Shelly, what does the rest are? I'm going to read it. Oh my God, words are hard today. I knew what you meant. Wolfkinder, best in show. I was in dog training club. I know those people. It's very accurate. Awesome. Two great movies. Personal faith. I've never seen either one. Nope, we just caught the edge of it all. I have a story. Hi, Yamaha. What's up? I'm taking a break from my man handling my wood. Nice. And now I'm eating my meat listening to Shelly. You know, Bless your heart. That's all I got to say. Ellie said my mom just moved to Florida now, but and I bet she has regrets now. Regrets. She has regrets. Yep, she's got all the regrets because she's got to deal with the Florida people. I do love me some Florida people, but there are some really wacky ones. I will admit that. Depends on which part she moved to. Ellie, hey now, Shelly's talking about God. He don't care. God made him the way he is too. He'll come around. It's all right. She said the wind only left the tree debris in her yard. Oh, that's good. That's good. Thankfully, none of the trees fell on our house. Somehow I feel she's calling me a sinner and telling me to repent. I mean, I would never. I think that's all a personal journey. But there are people out there who need to smarten the fuck up, but nobody here. Not specifically, but there are people who I want to smack the shit out of just for being stupid. Um, Wait, what are you doing with your wood and meat? More importantly, do you need help? Got her. She's so funny. Never hide your mistakes from your kids. They love real stories and real consequences. Yeah. And my son has said he's like, "Oh, like talk to people and they try to like, get me to like say whatever." He's like, and I think about like and I have like the what would Jesus do moments. He has the what would my mom do moment. And he's like, and it's always two things. It's like what would be your right decision and what would be your wrong decision. And then he decides which one he thinks he would go with. And it's funny that he thinks it that way because he knows I'm capable of going either way. Like I'm capable of really smart decisions and really dumb ones. And so he does. He tries to project like the image of what I would do. And then he's like, "All right, based on what she would do, this is what would happen to me." Elephant, my BFF told her kids about her mistakes, and they not only shamed her, but told her that she told them too much. One even claimed that she groomed her by telling her about her past. See, I feel like there's an outside influence making them believe that. Because I don't think kids come to that conclusion on their own. I don't think any kid's going to say, "You know what? Thanks for sharing all your pain with me, but I'd rather have not known it because how selfish are you to tell me all that? Like, how dare you try to control me by telling me your mistakes?" I think that had to come from outside somewhere. Either an internet influence or a person to person influence. I don't know. But I don't feel like that came about organically for them. And I think that's a terrible thing to do to a parent because all we can do is lead by example and teach you through our mistakes and through our successes. The best way to have somebody not repeat history is to have them learn history. So if you learn the history of your family and all the things we all did wrong, because it's not just me, I'm not the only person in this family. But if you learn all the things we did wrong and all the things we did right, you'll be able to plot your course a lot better. Not that type of story. uh, no, she told him about when she was in foster care. That had to be rough, the stuff she survived. And they should. They should know that because they should know that those are options. Like if something was to happen to their parents and nobody claims them, foster care is an option. And it's one they have to be ready for. Oh God, I heard somebody say mom, so it means they're coming this way. I have a story. Well, I like bacon, so I'm happy as a pig in shit. That's fine. We all I love bacon. I just had ham and eggs this morning for is it brunch when it's at 2 o'clock? I mean, I only ate like once today, so well fuck that's not even similar to their life. Yep. Nope, her kids turn out to be spoiled, ungrateful, effed up little shits. Yeah, that's what it sounds like they were headed. Hopefully they'll turn around though. Like knocking over a mailbox because a sheet of ice was there. I don't know. Yeah, it's overdoing, I think. Oh, you did the scot-free freedom. You're so funny, Wolfram. Ellie, you a badass. Yes, she is. Outpost said, "We live in a society that preaches do what makes you feel good today and don't worry about tomorrow and what people think. And that's not a healthy way to go through life." No, it really isn't. It really isn't. That's the no consequence, don't care about anybody but yourself, be a selfish prick the rest of your life type of life. You know, hedonism has taken over. It's all about, oh, fulfill your desires so you'll find happiness. There's no happiness to be found there. There's maybe like an elation, a release, like endorphins can actually make you believe that you're in a happy place. I would rather have continued contentment and security and peace than euphoric bursts throughout my life. Because happiness happens, like it just does. And you can choose to be happy. You can choose to create the memories that you want. But you also have to deal with the other side of that coin. And you're not going to appreciate the good things without some of the bad. There can't be like a completely glass smooth life, or you don't understand any kind of adversity, you don't understand anybody else. How could you ever make any kind of connection to anybody? How can you open your heart to somebody without having experienced the pain of life, the pain of rejection, the pain of um, being insulted and belittled or devalued? How can you ever see the value and everything in everybody else and in yourself unless you've experienced the opposite? How would you know that that's valuable unless you were devalued of it or deprived of it? Like, you don't. I mean, a lot of things, like, I've had this conversation with Winning, and I tend to thank him often because I want him to know that I appreciate him, because he doesn't have to put up with what he puts up with me when I get depressed or whatever. He could be like, "Oh, she's a drag. Fuck this. I'm out." You know, I'll come back when she's in a good mood. Like, but he doesn't do that. The same way when he has his little, you know, episodes or whatever, which are very vastly different than mine. But I mean, he has his issues. We all do. I will be there for them, and I don't care that it's not like party all the time. If you want to sit there with me for 2 hours and just be quiet just cuz you just need somebody there, I'm your girl. I'm there. Let's do it. But you have to be willing to do that for somebody. And you have to understand what it feels like to have somebody deprive you of that, because there has to be a willingness and a want to be there for somebody because you understand the importance of it. I understand the importance of what he does. He understands the importance of what I do. And we both appreciate the time and the effort and the care that goes into it. Because you're not going to do that for somebody that you're willing to just walk away from in the blink of an eye like they were nothing. You see the value in somebody else, not for what they do for you, but just who they are. I he doesn't have to solve my problems. He's just got to, maybe hang out with me while I'm trying to solve my own. And I appreciate that he's willing to do that. And he appreciates that I'm willing to, maybe pull back on some of my larger personality traits that maybe don't, they're not helpful. That I recognize that, and he'll point them out. I'll point out his too. It's neither one of us are perfect, but we work together to always like be complementary and to be connected in a way where we help one another be better. We help one another with all those things that other people have attacked or damaged. But there's no expectation of perfection and elation. Like, I'm not going to, be Susie fucking Sunshine 24/7. He knows that. He knew that from the beginning. He signed up for that. I appreciate that he signed up for that. I knew he was never going to be a social butterfly who went and like, just was just, da 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 all the freaking time. Like, I knew he had deep thoughts and deep beliefs, and I was gonna have to understand them and think on a different level than I did before. And he appreciates that I'm willing to sit there and go, no, oh, I get that." Like, and I know it makes him happy when I realize, "Oh, shit," like the light bulb goes off. And he's just like, he's like a proud dad. But we have that in each other. And that's hard to come by. It really is. Other people didn't appreciate who he was. I did. Other people didn't appreciate who I was. He did. And somehow in that whole storm of negativity and drama and whatever, we were able to be a beacon for each other. And we remain that way. And I mean, it's to me, that's one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. And I value him more than pretty much anybody because we've brought it to that level. Most people don't know that. They just know that we get up here and I get snarky and he gets spicy and it's like whatever. But I mean, no matter what else, you strip everything else away, the friendship that we have is very, very real and it's very honest. And it's not always pretty, but we both know that. But we're committed to it. And that you can't get that without having been denied that or losing that previously. That's not something that you wake up to and it just happens. That's something you work toward. And I do. I appreciate that. And I wish people would, you know, is Shelly talking with her hands? No, I absolutely am talking with my hands. I am. Um, Not as much as, Harris, but I am talking with my hands because I'm Italian. But yeah, no, I think that you have to experience the adversity and the pitfalls and the consequences in order to get to a place where you appreciate the value in other people. And it's not a selfish view. It's a more a commonality. It's realizing, hey, we all need one another. And you hook arms and okay, into the trench we go. If you put money on it, I think you'd win. Me talking with my hands? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm gesticulating like crazy. I have a story. Well, at least you're helping people, Shelly. They usually go away from me more confused, scared, and wondering if a welfare check is needed. Not me. I think you're great. I think you're outstanding, Yamaha. I really do. But see, I enjoy people. I really do. I enjoy you guys because you're not evil. You're quirky. I love the idiosyncrasies of everybody that comes around. I do. I look for them because I think they're phenomenal. Okay, now back to you. Okay, Ellie, wait, I'm almost done. Philistine chapter 4, 6 through 8, John 14:27, and Proverbs 4:23 through 27. English Standard Version speaks on the anxiousness peace that passes all understanding and guarding our hearts and minds. Cool. I bet Shelly's talking with her hands as I do. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when I really get into something, it's terrible. See, God thinks I'm pretty. I think you're very pretty. You're very pretty, Yama. And he created your voice, which, hello. Yes, absolutely, Heidi. Woo-hoo. Woo-woo. Yeet. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Yep. Taking y'all on a walk with me, and one of my dogs will be listening. Awesome. We love dog walks. Let's go. I'm a dog. I'm listening. Take me to Puffer. Take the wolf with you. You two switch to top chat and I'm back to all messages. Nice. All right. Yeah, I don't know why it defaults to top messages. I hate that. I have a leash, my border collie, blah, blah, blah. That's what I need. Heidi, thank you for thinking of me. There you go. All right. So I'm all caught up in chat. I can get back to the thing. So God says you are loved, worthy, and accepted. Back to reading the article for anybody who's not following along. I'm grateful for the accounts in the Bible of God changing people's names and by extension their identity. Abram to Abraham, Sarah to Sarah, Jacob the supplanter to Israel, Simon to Peter, Saul to Paul. But lest we think he only did that in biblical times, it's helpful for us to recognize he does that for us today. God says you are loved, worthy, and accepted even today. God says you are a new creation, but Christ calls us new creations. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. That's from 2 Corinthians 5:17. Wait, God says he gives us a new name. And I knew you guys were going to do that to chat. I knew it. I knew it. Yamaha just sitting there and talk to us. Nice. Ellie said, quick post, a bunch of messages extending the chat for Shelly. I know. You ball busters. Every one of you. I love you. So God says he gives us a new name. Anyone with ears to hear must listen to the Spirit and understand what he is saying to the churches. To everyone who is victorious, I will give some of the manna that has been hidden away in heaven, and I will give to each one a white stone, and on the stone will be engraved a new name that no one understands except the one who receives it. And this is in Revelations chapter 2, verse 17. Uh, just like the famous episode of the Oprah show where she exclaimed, everyone gets a new car. You get a car, you get a car, you get a car. I remember that. I used to do that with my kindergartners. You get a timeout. You get a timeout. You get a timeout. And they'd be like, no. Yeah, well, then listen. Very attention grabbing. But it says, she exclaimed, everyone gets a new car. In our case, you get a new name. You get a new name. And you get a new name. Everyone, and I'm sitting here pointing, right? I know you can picture it. Everyone who accepts Jesus as their Lord and Savior gets a new name. Honestly, I don't care for many of the names and nicknames I've received over the years, so I want to agree, receive, and accept what God says about me because he knows me best and loves me most. A different name, if you will. I have a feeling God will still call me Shelly. So what does this say? When I say I am alone, God says he is always with me. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Now we're going to get into the Bible verses and we're going to go through them real quick because they're just boom, 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 boom. And I just really liked all of them, but it was mainly that whole intro that hit me because that's the only part that I really read. I skimmed over this, but I really read the beginning. And it really did hit me that there's so much more to us that we don't even understand. But yet God sees it all. God knows you. He knows your thoughts. He knows your intentions. You can't lie to God. You can only lie to others and to yourself. And that's where he's always, like tap you on the shoulder. What was that? You want to run that by me again? Oh, okay. Because you can't fool God, which is why a lot of people turn away from God because they know they're not living right. If they say, oh, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in the universe, I don't believe in any of this, it's all about now. There's nothing but now. It's because they have the fear of fessing up to what they've done because they know they haven't lived right. They know they've made bad decisions and selfish decisions. They know God knows what they've been up to, whether it's behind closed doors, like absolutely like 100% in their head only. It doesn't matter. God knows. The universe knows. You can't hide from that type of power. So what can you do? You can pretend. That's what this whole bending reality and escapism into hedonism and desires is. It's trying to escape the accountability of facing your true self in the mirror and saying, hey, this is really who I am, and then admitting that God sees you as you are. If you can't face yourself, you're sure as shit not going to go to God and be like, hey, this is me. Like, take it or leave it. No, because you're always going to have that fear that God's going to say, well, then leave it. Because that's not how you were intended to be. If you're too ashamed to face God with what you truly are inside, what your true motivations are, then you need to take a step back and really examine those motivations. What is keeping you from being proud? What is keeping you in fear? What steps have you taken that brought you there? God knows. Do you? Yeah, if you can admit that, if you could identify them and admit to them, and then correct them, the path to God is so much clearer for you because you don't have a fear of him being angry with you. God doesn't hold on to anger. He doesn't hold a grudge. He looks at you and goes, you're fucking up. But it's kind of like a clinical observation. Like God is maybe I tend to think of like what are they called? Anthropologists or sociologists? I forget which ones are the ones that purely observe and do not interact with civilizations that they're observing because they can't affect them. They know they cannot affect them because the slightest thing they do, even their presence, causes a disturbance in the naturalness of what they're doing. I feel like God does that. Like he's literally just watching going, I could fix it all, but you got to figure this out for yourself. You know, I have paradise waiting for you. Pay attention to what you're doing and you'll get there in no time at all. You'll enjoy your life. You'll have others enjoy their lives. You'll be good for humanity. And then when your purpose is served, you get to come home. But you got to pay attention. And I think we're so trained now by distractions because we can no longer just turn a blind eye. We literally have to have our attention pulled from what we're doing. That's why we're in the place where we're in, because we're allowing our sight to be pulled away from where we truly need to go and be. All these distractions that are created throughout the world, all these crises and wars and all opinions and politics and everything is just all the last shift I can't say the word lasciviousness. Anyway, the debauchery. There we go. Like all the salacious bullshit. I'll go with that word. Because at least I can pronounce it. Um, all of that is meant to pull us away from God and pull us away from self-reflection, from self-improvement. Because you're not going to lead the right life when you're looking off to the side. It's like driving a car. If you're looking out the side window, you're not going to drive straight because guess what? Your hand follows where your vision goes. That is 100% proven. Like, yes, there are people who have trained themselves to keep their hands so that they're going straight, but they're still not seeing where they're going. If there's like something in the road, they're going to hit it. But if you're looking off to the side, you're going to veer off course naturally. That's what happens. That's what the world has set us up to be. And we need to course correct. Yeah, we need to go back on that path we were meant to be on. I think people that like they'll say, why'd they die so young? My belief, they fulfilled their purpose. We don't know what the purpose is. The same way we don't know what name God would give us because we don't understand how God sees us. We are human. We are incapable of that type of sight. The closest we usually get is how we see our children. That's the closest we can get. But it's still hard to wrap your head around that anybody out there like that there's this, magnificent presence out there that created us and always sees us as good when we're so negative on ourselves and we allow other people to heap the negativity onto us. We see ourselves through their lens. Nobody ever goes, I wonder what God sees me as. If we did that more often, I think we'd be in a much better place. Oh geez. Now I'm way behind. God damn it, Ellie. And Wolfram, because of course he's your partner in crime. What the fuck is this identity shit? Where his children? Do we need more? I mean, people need labels. That's the way of the world now. It's not enough to just be. Now you have to be blah 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 blah. Be fill in the blank. And it could be that list could be a mile freaking long, but they insist on labels, and it's like, ugh, like God didn't label us. If he does give us a name, I would love to know what my name would be. And of course my sense of humor, I'm like, just please don't let it be bitch. Like, please, just please, just can I just when I come home, can you make sure that just the gentle parts of me come home? Because I really appreciate those parts of me, and they're kind of starved throughout my life because they would have been, devoured by everything that I went up against. I had to take that gentle me and bury her to protect her, to keep her alive, to keep her going for when it was safe for her to come out. And along, as time went on, I forgot about her. I forgot how to retrieve her. And I just got angry. And I was just rough all the time. And y'all have seen me get taken down by tenderness. There's no defense against tenderness. There's not. It's the hardest thing to accept because I think it's the closest we get to what it would feel like to be in direct contact with God. That open, shining, like burning love for somebody. And I know Yamaha's going to say something about burning love, but that's okay. But tenderness is very hard for me to accept because it's so foreign to me. And I know that I've buried the tenderness that I have to give because it's always put me in a place where I wound up being abused because of it, because people saw it as weakness. So tenderness can destroy me in the best way, but it also leaves me feeling weak. And I think God tends to be quite tender with me, which is why when I pray, I'm often reduced to tears because you can feel that spirit surround you. You can feel it's almost like being wrapped in like the softest, thickest cotton blanket. Like it's just brushed cotton and it's all smooth and like it's soft and like it's just everything to make you feel secure. And when I feel that, it breaks me down. It does. Uh well, there go the tears, but in a good way. Because God does. He does move me to tears. Nothing else in this world does that easily or that cleanly because I always feel better. I feel lighter. Like my burden is less when that happens. And I feel the presence of God. And it's so profound that it does move me to actual tears. And most people that know like my sense of humor and how bawdy I get, they're like, Shelly, never. Like, no, there's no way. I am not a one-dimensional being. I'm very complex. And sometimes you get to see one side, sometimes you get to see another. You guys get to experience the whole cacophony of me. You lucky, lucky people. But I think that's the beauty of life is experiencing everything. You can't just choose one thing. You have to be open to experience so that you can grow and get better. It's a spiritual name. That's what's been in Judaism forever. Yeah, I just want to know what it is. Yeah, in heaven you get that stone. Yep. And it's funny that on earth, like when they bury you, I think the headstone is not just to mark where your body is. It's to remind people that that was your identity here. So it's fitting that um when you transfer from this plane to the next, your name changes, and you become the purest version of yourself. And God goes, okay, this is how I made you. This is what you reverted to. Now you can have your name. Because you can't start out having your name because you'll never live up to it on the mortal plane. Agree and accept you are not in charge. None of us are in charge. And that's the thing. That's why we all struggle for control. We all have our little things that we do so that we feel like we have some control. When you know damn well you are not in control of anything. You can make every perfect decision known to man, and still your life can wind up in the shitter depending on the decisions of others. You are not in charge. You are in charge of you. That doesn't mean you're in charge of where you're going to land. You can try, but you got to put your faith in something bigger than you. I have a story, quirky. So I went to the store and started losing my mind over 2023 batteries. Come to find out, I had a dyslexic moment, and the 2032 were tap dancing across my face, and I think they took my license. You thought they were expired batteries. Instead, they're good for the next 8 years. Shame on you. No, it's funny. Oh, that's funny. They took down your license plate. They thought you were a crazy person. To be like, no, I'm not crazy, just dyslexic. That's like me when I read something and I'm like, wait, I gotta take a picture of it. They're like, what? I'm like, I can't read it. Why can't you read? Because it's too damn small. Like I need to take a picture so I can blow it up. Do you know I was going through a bin the other day because of course I'm still unpacking. And there was a picture of me at 16. I went horseback riding. So there's this huge horse, and I'm like, I'm in the saddle, whatever. And I go to show my son, and I was like, oh my God, look at and I put my fingers on the actual picture and tried to zoom in with my finger. And he's looking at me, and I was like, oh crap, it's not the phone. He was like, I can't believe you just did that. I said, I can't believe I did either, but whatever. I was like, if only I could just let me take a picture. And I had to take a picture with my phone so I could zoom in. And he was like, you sat there like 2-3 times going, like getting frustrated, like, why won't it go? Like, why won't it zoom? Yeah, and it was definitely that was a funny moment. But I was like, I can't believe I freaking did that. I'm sitting there going, idiot, you're smarter than that. Like, what is wrong with you? But yeah, we all have those moments, so don't feel bad. Well, I tried to zoom in on an actual physical picture, and you thought they were trying to sell you dead batteries. I don't blame you for being mad either, because the price of batteries are ridiculous. Yeah, I don't miss when I worked in retail. Yeah, no, me neither. Anthropologist, thank you, Ellie. Starfleet and their prime directive. All right. Sociologists also observe, but it's smaller, like family dynamics. That's right. Okay. Thank you. I know I took both courses in college, but I couldn't remember the difference between them. Um, just a joke. I was saying to myself, I made nobody miserable today. That's an achievement. But the night isn't over. Oh, stop, Yamaha. You're so sweet. I love all you guys who are like, oh, I'm gonna make somebody miserable. And yet all you do is make people laugh and make people smile. So you just hush. Uh on that point, it's also have some heroics within the church. The church hurt to influence them to turn away from God. Yeah, subconsciously, it's allowing those people to control their decision. Yeah, I don't. I feel like there's so many changes within the churches. Like they're not changing based on the scriptures or the teachings. They change to go with trends because they want to keep their constituency up or their numbers up in their congregations. And I feel that, like, that's so disingenuous. Like, if you believe something for, like, 200 years and it wasn't, like, completely out there, but now you're changing it to include some radical mentally ill kinda, you know, group, why? Why are you doing that? I don't think that's God's plan. I don't think God is like, "Oh, yeah, just take all these, like, wackadoo people in. Don't help them, enable them, make them worse. That's great. That's just what I intended." Like, why does the church not turn around and hold themselves to that kind of standard of, "No, we are not gonna help break society down and destroy it." That was not God's plan. That was never God's plan. God's plan was to make us better, to make us, purer and not to, like, sit there and go, "Oh, let's see what kinda degenerate bullshit they can come up with." Yeah, but no, because I need your money, so come to church. Like, no, that was not God's intention. Money and church never should have been combined at all. Like, that's why Jesus he didn't say, "Build me temples," or whatever when he was alive. He roamed all over the place through desert and stone and, along shorelines. Like, he just went village to village, people to people, and the people came to him. He was the church. He knew where the value was. The teachings and the word were within him. You weren't going to get saved visiting a stone structure. You were going to get saved interacting or visiting with God on earth. Like, that's where you were going to find the salvation. You're not going to find the salvation because your marble is better than the other churches. Like, that's not how it is. It's not, "Oh, my whole church is surrounded in marble and gold, so obviously God is going to want to come here." God's going to want to go where the pristine value is in your soul, not in your realty. It doesn't matter what you own. It matters what's inside, who you are. God knows that. People have not gotten on to that yet because they're greedy. That's the work of the devil. That's the devil saying, "Oh, all right. Well, you know what? Keep giving money, keep giving money, keep giving money, keep giving money. I know your family needs the money, but the church needs money." Why does the church need the money? They're not giving it to anybody else. They're not taking care of the poor. They're not doing any of that. They don't say, "Hey, come in and donate your time and money because we're running a food, bank or whatever." I mean, granted, some of them do. I'm generalizing here, which I hate to do. But most of, like, the churches say, "Hey, no, give me your money because I'll decide where it goes." Really? You'll decide where it goes? You need new air conditioning? Do you? Because I'm pretty sure, like, Jesus preached on the side of a mountain in blistering heat and everybody was happy to be there. If you love going to church, you're gonna go to church whether it's hot, cold, whatever. My grandmother trudged there through every kind of weather. She didn't care what it was like inside. She went there for the word. She went there to listen to the priest talk and explain and to be a part of a community that rose together to love God. That's how she was. But she understood they didn't want her there unless she put an envelope in. That is not what religion is about. That's not what it should be about. That your relationship with God does not depend on how much money you put in the kitty. If that basket passes and you throw a quarter, if you throw a dollar, if you throw $100, it shouldn't make a difference. That is not your worth. Your worth is internal. You are of value, not what you own, not what you possess. Because whatever you possess can be taken from you at any moment. They can't take who you are. That is your biggest prize in life. So you need to work on your value, your internal value, the quality and purity of your soul, of your intentions. Work on your mind, your heart, your spirit. Make those the best things that they can do and give those to God because He doesn't care if the statue on the altar is made of gold, wood, a painting, Or if a little kid went up with some chalk and just drew a cross and said, "This is where God is." Guess what? I guarantee out of all those scenarios, he would pick the chalk drawing by the child because it's done in the purest of spirit. Elephant, I learned something to that effect a while back. I view church like hospitals for sick souls. Mm, a lot of them run on profit. Uh, Behind me, that's a threat or a blessing. Be nice. Ooh, did you eat beans, Puffer Spot? That determines the answer. I hate you, Ellie. I gotta wrap this up because I gotta get ready for the other thing, for the other show. Did you eat? Da, 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 da. All right, so let's go ahead, girl. Both babies, and you're a badass bitch. It's okay to be tender. I have a story. I wasn't, Shelly, but since you brought up my burning loins, I know, I know. Well, see, I know what pops up in your head and elsewhere, so let's just leave that there for today. We'll indulge in some, debaucherous talk, just surface level during the week. Man, stop talking my shit. I don't mean that. Kind of do. I'm mush now. Aw, I love mush. I love mushy people. Let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. I love it when he uses the Holy Spirit to touch our hearts. That way, it's cleansing our souls too. Yeah, in my honest opinion, it absolutely is. Headstone's great. Another way God has fun. They're just like markers for the humans, so that they can go and visit you, even though you're not there anymore. It took me a long time to realize that what was in my dad's uh, coffin and in his burial site wasn't him. It was the meat suit that he used when he was walking around doing what needed to be done, but his spirit was gone from that. And it was his spirit that never really left me. You know, I don't believe that he's just up in heaven. I don't believe my grandmother's in heaven. I think because they were too intent on being with us here to leave before we leave. There's always a part of them hanging on. Suzanne, sorry, Shelly fell asleep. Girl, it's fine. I fall asleep all the time. Good. I will hope you rested. Ellie, no beans. You're funny. I just woke up feeling yucky. I need glasses. I need glasses. I mean, no, I wear contacts. But if you ever look at the back of pill bottles, they write it in black on a dark label. You can't read it. And then it's curved around the bottle, so it's like impossible. But I take a picture and then I see it just fine. I've done that. Dang it, Suzanne. Hopefully you sit and a water. Hugs. She fell asleep. She needed to sleep. That's okay. I've hit the crap out of my laptop screen. Wonder if it wasn't doing what when you're used to touch screens and then you touch and you're like, why won't it work? Yeah, I've done that. Best Buy won't be able to solve your problem. Yep, that's right. T3, I put a huge roast beef in the oven for dinner with carrots, potatoes. Screw this economy. I want my Sunday dinners with my boy. There you go. There you go. I was about to say my church does. It is between you and God. The Bible says giving 10%. I view that as both monetary and time. Yes. Time serving others. God doesn't need our money or our time. It's about our sacrifices to him. Yeah, I think it's about the purity of your intentions and your actions. Um, this new church of mine, some old broad said, why didn't you give tithes? I said, because God doesn't want me to. I don't have enough and I have kids. Give what you can, and I can't say suck it, bad hair dye. Oh, Puffer, that was great. Megachurch's take and use Mark 12:17 about giving unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Yes, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and give unto God what is God wrongly. Yes, they absolutely take it wrong. Wolfkinder Shelley, I sent you a message in Discord. Awesome, thank you. When there's a label I can't read, I find the reading glasses display and use one that I put them back. I've done that. I have. All right, so let's zoom through these things because I have to end this in 15 minutes because I have another stream to do with winning very soon. And I also have to go to the bathroom, and then go eat. So 17 Bible verses. What God says about you. 1. I say or have said I am unlovable, but God says I am forever loved. And I am convinced that nothing can ever separate us from God's love, neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither our fears for today nor our worries about tomorrow. Not even the powers of hell can separate us from God's love. No power in the sky above or in the earth below, indeed, nothing in all creation, will ever be able to separate us from the love of God that is revealed in Christ Jesus our Lord. This is in Romans 8:38 through 39. Number 2, I say or have said I am scarred, but God says I am healed. But he was pierced for our transgressions, he was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was on him, and by his wounds we are healed. Isaiah 53:5. Yes, because God did sacrifice everything for us. And people tend to overlook that. It wasn't just, oh, he sent down he literally sent down a part of himself. That was him on earth. Anybody who thinks Jesus Christ was not God doesn't understand the whole aspect of what God is, what God created, where we all come from. I mean, if you're missing it out on Jesus, you're definitely not picking up on the seed within yourself. But yeah, he did that, and he put himself through torment and temptation and ridicule and torture and death. You know, he believes in us, but we don't all believe in him. And that tends to be a controversial look, but it also tends to be pure truth. And he gave us the ability to do that. That was by design. He gave us free will, which again goes back to my theory about Adam and Eve that we'll get into this week, because I believe that he gave them the ability to make the decision to eat the fruit, and really wanted them to eat the fruit, because then everything after them, it was a choice. He didn't create a bunch of sycophants. He created an entire species that could choose to love him or not love him, acknowledge him or not acknowledge him. And you know that when somebody has to love you, it doesn't feel the same as when they choose to love you. Someone choosing you means so much more than somebody obligated to be with you. And I think God knew that. So for the human experiment to truly play out to its fruition, they had to make that choice, and they had to make the wrong choice. But we're going to get into that. 3, I say I'm weak, but God says he makes me strong. God arms me with strength, and he makes my way perfect. Psalms 18:32. I recognize I'm a sinner, but God says I am forgiven. I am writing to you who are God's children because your sins have been forgiven through Jesus. 1 John 2:12. 5, I was abandoned, but God says I was adopted, says I am adopted. God decided in advance to adopt us into his own family by bringing us to himself through Jesus Christ. This is what he wanted to do, and it gave him great pleasure. The Ephesians 1:5. See, with this one, I agree, but I also believe that God did create us, but then let us go, like so we can go out on our own and make our own decisions. But he was always there with open arms to bring us back in. We just had to choose to turn back. And his gateway was through Jesus Christ, because we ignored all the other ways to go back to God. So he said, all right, let me simplify this for you. You see this? You see my son? You see what I'm going to do to my son, what I'm going to allow to happen? Come to him, believe in him, have faith in him, listen to him. It's right here. I'm literally like, Jesus was like giving the book of information and life to the world. It's here. He's telling you everything you need to know, everything you need to do. It's right here. I consolidated it because y'all just are just crazy. Like, look right here. Focus. And a lot of people still don't. And it does. It's hard to do that when there's so many distractions. Like, you have to find your faith and really allow your faith to fill you up. Winning talks about inner faith all the time. But a lot of people don't really understand how hard it is to achieve that and how valuable it is once you do. How different things look. 6, I say I am broken, but God says he makes me whole. So you also are complete through your union with Christ, who is the head over every ruler and authority. Colossians 2:10. All right, so I've said this before. We all have masters. Every one of us. There is no one on this earth who does not report to a higher person. Whether it's a boss, a mother, a wife, a husband, your church, your academic institution, anything, your government, the elites, the globalists, like everybody is dictated to by someone. Many of us are dictated to by people we've never even fathomed existing. They exist in the shadows. They're invisible, but the strings are all still there. And yet we are all, the commonalities, we are all subject to the authority of God. It's just most people don't recognize that. They recognize the earthly authorities and they mess themselves up. But yet, for some reason, it's easier for them to admit to having a boss on earth than having a boss in existence, in the universe. And I don't know why that is. But yeah, and in the end of the day, God is the one who gets to say yay or nay to you. It's all on him. That's why we have so little control. We just like to pretend that we do. And that's what power is all about. That's why all the power grabs. These people that grab for power, they have the biggest voids inside them because they will not recognize that no matter how much power they have here, it means fuck all when they're gone. Because they have a boss and they're going to have to answer to him. And that's not going to be a pretty day for them. That gives me solace, knowing that no matter what people do on this earth, they're going to have to answer for every action once they're gone. And they will be judged appropriately, which is why I don't wish bad things on people. I look at God and go, please, can you please either fix them or like make them accountable? Like they need to see what they're doing. Give them the justice they truly deserve. And I wish it upon myself. If I was like the most horrible person in my life, I expect that God is going to get me in the end and say, hey, guess what? Here's the tally. There's the price. This is the price you're going to pay. When the bill is paid in full, I'll bring you home. But until then, good luck. Get to work. 7, I have been rejected, but God says I am his. Do not fear. I have redeemed you. I have summoned you, and you are mine. Isaiah 43:1. That does make me feel better. It really does. Because no matter what I do, God loves me. He understands that no, I'm fucked up. But he knows that I'm trying. He knows what's in my heart. He knows that I'm afraid to show the soft aspects of myself. He gets it. And I think he's proud every time I actually get to do that. 8, I say I'm alone, but God says he's always with me. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord our God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. And I believe that. And like I said, I came here and I was so afraid that I bubble wrap myself from everybody, including God. And I felt that lack of connection. And in order for me to let him break through, for it's not that he could have broke through whenever he wanted to, but it, again, my decision. In order for me to allow that, um, I had to be vulnerable and I had to face it with you guys. Ah, I heard the he showed up. I'm ending it in a little bit. You're just gonna have to wait. 9. I say I'm hopeless, but God says because of him I'm hopeful. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare, not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. I say I am a lost cause, but God says I was created with a purpose. I believe that. Perhaps this is the moment for which you've been created. Esther 4:14. I think we all have a purpose. I really do. I think we have multiple purposes, but an ultimate purpose nonetheless. I say I have failed, but God says I am victorious in Christ. But thank God he gives us victory over sin and death through our Lord Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians 15:57. Yes, he does. He gives us victory over sin and death through Jesus Christ. That's where we get everything washed away. But you have to repent. You have to be remorseful. You have to recognize that you misstepped. Otherwise, you're never going to get to that place you want to be because you can't admit that you did wrong. I say I am lost, but God says he gives me a direction. Whether you turn to the right or the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Isaiah 30:21. Yes, and I think that's your conscience. 13. I say I am worried, anxious, or afraid, but God says with him I am peace filled. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. John 14. I struggle with this one because I feel fear just because my experience just tells me be afraid. Be afraid, look for the worst. Because when I look for the best, I always wind up failing or getting hurt. So it's hard to do that. Um I say I am unhappy, but God says I am joyful and joy filled. I have told you these things so that you will be filled with my joy. Yes, your joy will overflow. John 15:11. Uh, I'm just going to zip through these. I say I'm afraid, but God says I am powerful, loved, and have a sound mind. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy. He didn't give us a spirit of fear. That's more the darkness at work. But you have to want to let the light in if you're going to overcome those fears. That's why they say face your fears, because that's God giving you strength and courage to overcome them. You know, what could your fear do to you? Nothing. It's completely illusionary. Like it's not real. We create our fears. And that wasn't something that came from God. That's purely the devil's work. I say I am nothing special, but God says I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. I always grew up with a healthy fear of God. I think that's a good thing because I don't want to have to come before God and be like, yeah, I'm a bad person, and I know you hate me. Like I want to go before God and go, look, I did my best, and like just tell me how I could have been better. Yeah, I'll do it again. Yeah, I'll do it again. Just let me do it better. I say I am worthless, but God says Jesus died because I am worth it. For God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish and have eternal life. John 3:16. And that's really what you have to cling to. I mean, that's what I cling to. The fact that no matter what I do, he really did give up, his only son for me. And it's not a selfish thought. People are like, "Oh, you weren't even there then." Do you really think God can't see, forever in the past and forever in the future? Every moment, past, present, and future is his. They're all his. He is all knowing, all powerful. So why would that make a difference? Like, why would it matter when I existed in comparison to Jesus? God knew eventually I would exist. Maybe he put me through a couple times. This might not be my first go around. We don't know. We don't know. But I have to have faith that, you know, he loved me and he did this for me, knowing someday I would need that. I would need that salvation, that I would deserve that salvation, that we all do. Mega churches taking use. Oh, yeah, we did that. Wait, where am I? Shelley, I sent you a message in Discord. Show is up. You can redirect. Okie dokie. When there's a label I can't read, find the reading glasses display and use one. Then I put it back on. All right. It was Eve's mission to. If not, they wouldn't have been cast out, wouldn't have had children, and wouldn't have gotten sick or old. Let me remove this because it's driving me crazy. All righty. So now it's just me. There we go. All righty. Apparently, I have to redirect because the show is up. Whatever. All right. So I am going to finish here. And let's see, guys. Just bear with me. He wants me to redirect, but the show's not for like an hour. Okay, I'm going to do it anyway because I just do as I'm told. Winning. You know what? So what'd you guys think of that article? I found it very, very thought-provoking. You know, it's old school. Here we go. Old school watch party Sunday. There we go. All right. So it's going to redirect to the stream for me winning. But no, I really enjoyed that. It really meant a lot to me when I read that. It really it struck a chord. It really did. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun sitting here going over it with you. I hope to do a lot more of these things. And to stream a lot more because it's really helpful. And I'm in a better place mentally with you guys. So I hope you have a happy Sunday. Make sure to join Winning and I for our double feature tonight. And thank you. Thank you for hanging out and for talking to me and telling me your opinions and just, you're all awesome. Heidi, thank you for the article. It made a big difference. So thank you. Never have trepidation in sharing anything with me, girl. Stop it. No, always share. Always share. Don't ever hesitate. Like I said, I'll always read it or watch it. I might not make a show about it, but this one really I couldn't. Something was driving me to talk about this. So hopefully it'll get out there and it'll help some people. I know it helped me. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I love you all, and I will see you in the funny papers. Bye.
Jersey girl, I know that you're a Jersey girl inside. 4 a.m. at a diner, stop singing, living on a
And doggone it, people like me.
I'm thinking maybe you're a Jersey girl with all those highlights in your hair. No other girl can move like you. We pump our fists, damn right it's true. And I don't care what they might say, they'll never get us anyway. So be my Jersey girl, and take a little ride with me tonight. And let's get dirty, girl. I know that you're a Jersey
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.